All got quiet quickly. You must have figured it out. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the August 10th, 2021 Hillsborough Township Committee meeting. Ms. Bork, please call the roll.
Committeewoman Erickson. Here. Committeeman Thompson.
Here.
Committeeman Wright.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Delcourt.
Here.
Mayor Lapani.
Here.
Administrator Ferrer is absent. Attorney Willard.
Here.
Okay.
Please join me in a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be advised that in accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, that this notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex and notifying the officially designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex at 7:30 p.m. on August 10th, 2021. Before we get to business this evening, we will pause to honor Assistant Fire Chief William Schaffer. On July 14th of 2021, our community suffered a great loss when Assistant Fire Chief Billy Schaffer passed away at the scene of a fire. This was the first in the line of this is the first in the line of duty death for Hillsborough, and we pray it be our last. For those who knew Billy, whether through the firehouse or ShopRite or any other function, he was always there. His 50 years, whatever, how long he's been doing this, he was always one of the first people always to show up. He was always there to help a hand. He would do whatever he could to help you. You really will miss him. And our thoughts go out to his wife, Marion, and their family, and to all the members of the brothers and sisters over at 37 who have a big hole to fill. So I'd like to just take a moment in honor of Billy. Thank you. We have no minutes to approve at this time. We do have some reports from our committee liaison, so we will start first with Committeewoman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. As I say each meeting, it's really nice to see everybody here and faces and everybody out. So thank you for joining us tonight. So words from the building department. They would like to let you know that if you have a construction permit for an in-ground pool, your permit will remain open until you receive final approvals, including a final engineering inspection. The department would like to report that the 2021 repaving project has started. The following roadways are now under construction: Williamsburg Drive, Weybridge Drive, Bywater Way, Bywater Court, Rivendell Road, Silver Lode Court, Dundane Street, Snowbourne Place, and Lorien. The contractor began last week with replacing handicap ramps at intersections. Milling and paving will take place in a week or two, weather permitting. During the milling and paving, no vehicles can be parked on those roadways, and the contractor will place a temporary no parking signs. Signs will be placed by the contractor, Top Line Construction, the night before street is worked on to alert residents so that vehicles can be parked on adjoining streets that are not under construction and are already completed. An exact time frame when a street will be repaved cannot be determined in advance due to weather and/or the speed of the contractor's workforce. Residents should look for signs being posted to stay informed. Social services. So there are two slides.
There you go. You're good.
Oh, there I am. I'm sorry. Okay, so from social services, they would like to let everybody know that Super Sundays owner Jane Mocnes is shown here with pantry items donated by loyal customers as part of their participation in Super Sundays National Ice Cream Day celebration. Patrons were treated to a cool discount when they brought a much-needed food pantry item to Super Sundays. The Hillsborough Township Community Assisted Network would like to thank Super Sundays and all who participated. Hillsborough High School ESY students helped other students in need. Mr. Bernard's Hillsborough High School extended school year class ran a supply drive during the summer education session. The class helped collect and organize school supplies that were delivered to the Hillsborough Food Bank for distribution to families in need. A huge thank you to the ESY staff, students, and families for making the supply drive successful. Fall soccer and softball registration deadline is August 14th. We are currently taking registration for our co-ed fall soccer for boys and girls aged 3 to grade 12. All games are held on Saturdays at various soccer fields in town, with the older divisions at the Iron Peak Turf Fields. We are also taking registrations for our fall girls softball leagues. No experience, no problem. Girls softball is open to all girls in kindergarten through 8th grade. It's time to dust off your cleats and get ready for some softball. Visit the Parks and Recreation website at hillsboroughNJRecreation.org for more details on our summer and softball programs. Sign up today to guarantee a spot in our league, as teams can hit max capacity before the registration deadline of August 14th. Volunteer coaches are needed for all age groups for both soccer and softball. Please consider volunteering your time to be head or assistant coach. Make a difference, be a coach. Animal control solutions. The mandatory cat vaccination ordinance was developed when rabies entered the community. It is written to prevent people from feeding strays and increasing the population of stray, uncared for cats and cats that are not vaccinated against rabies. Nobody should be feeding animals outside and leaving food. Any food, even pet food, should be removed from the area immediately after feeding. It is best to feed pets indoors. If Animal Control Solutions is called to assess a cat situation, it is important to note that if a person has been feeding a cat outside and the cat is used to being fed there, then it is considered to be the caller's cat in accordance with the mandatory cat vaccination ordinance. Animal Control Solutions has a local animal control officer that responds from the health department. They are on call 24/7. If there is an emergency and the phone number is not working, please call the police and they will call the health department. To make a complaint or request information regarding feral cats, please contact Hillsborough Township Health Department. Please do not report a feral cat situation on Facebook, as the health department and Animal Control Solutions are not monitoring social media for complaints. And that is it. Back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things from me. First, if you have a matter before the court, we have a Spanish interpreter available either by phone or in the office to help you and assist you. Also, if you're appearing in court, we have the availability to offer interpreting for many different languages. If this is needed, however, please let the court office know in advance so that they can make the proper arrangements for you. Also, if you need to reach out to the court outside of business hours, you can always email the court at court@hillsborough-nj.org, and someone will respond back to you once the office is reopened. However, if we are open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to take care of any of your needs. From the police department, recently there has been a rise of frauds reported by the police department. There are new and innovative scams that are appearing every single day. To help you from becoming a victim, we have listed some helpful tips to safeguard your finances. One, never give out your bank account information to an unknown caller, including credit cards. The Hillsborough Police Department and Chief McMahon do not solicit donations by phone. Gift cards or any kind of valueless, once a activated code is shared. A reputable company or government agency would never require a payment through a gift card. Don't give an unknown caller access to your computer. And also, the misuse of the English language through emails or verbal communications could be a red flag. Be aware of any opportunity where you are required to pay a small sum now for a larger future prize. Unknown callers requesting large sums of immediate cash should also raise concern. If a loved one is arrested or involved in an accident and a stranger is requesting money, that's most likely fraud. Verify these requests through a second party, a police, a loved one, etc. Be aware of false website links sent through fraudulent emails or phishing scams. And if you have any concerns as whether or not something could be fraudulent, please contact our police department who can help you clarify the situation and protect your money at the same time. From a health department, just a reminder about rabies. Please remember to keep your pets up to date with the rabies vaccines. Do not leave pets unattended outdoors and do not feed pets outdoors. If you feed pet outdoors, please be sure to remove the food and any crumbs immediately after feeding to avoid attracting wildlife or other animals that could carry rabies. Teach children not to touch cats or dogs they don't know or a wild animal. And please keep garbage cans tightly sealed and do not allow trash to pile up. Please call the Hillsborough Police or Animal Control Solutions at 908-722-1271 if you see an animal that appears sick, stumbling, actively strange, or is unafraid of people or is unafraid of other animals in general. Also, regarding dead trees, due to the certain pests that are not native to this country, we are experiencing more trees dying, and these trees pose a danger to you and your family and to the public at large. We would like to remind residents that Hillsborough Township Property Maintenance Code requires that standing dead trees on your property are required to be removed, especially when they are in danger of falling onto roads, sidewalks, and/or power lines. Please take a look around your property for any standing dead trees, and if you see any, contact a tree removal company to schedule to have it removed. And last, from sustainability, let's help Duke Farms win #1 for the farmers market. Cast your vote by September 20th. The American Farmland Trust is conducting the 12th annual farmers market celebration. Let's help Hillsborough's own Duke Farms become #1 in 2021 by casting a vote. Currently, their ranking is 11th nationwide, 2nd in New Jersey, and 4th in the Northeast. Let's help them reach #1 in all categories. Voting is open till Sunday, September 20th. Please visit the website markets.farmland.org to submit, and I'm sure we'll put that in your newsletter as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Ooh, Public Works. I think I might repeat a few issues, so I do apologize in advance. The Public Works Department is busy with necessary repairs for drainage basins and other items relevant to the operation of the up-and-coming pavement projects that will be taking place in the up-and-coming months. There's going to be a few, there are a few remaining dates available for the town cleanup program, which ends the last week in October. Please visit the DPW page on the township website to find out more about this program. As Doug said, that take some time to evaluate the trees on your property. It's much harder to determine if they're hazardous tree, condition without having the foliage. With this whole host of issues that are currently comprising our trees in our region, it's important, more so than ever, to pay attention to these matters. The New Jersey Forest Service website provides the necessary information for homeowners to help take action in maintaining your trees. And we have the Larry Smith 3-on-3 basketball tournament. The first annual Larry Smith Senior 3-on-3 basketball tournament will be held on August 14th, 2021 from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Ann Van Middlesworth Park. This tournament will feature several divisions, including middle school, high school, and over 18. To learn more about the Larry Smith Senior Basketball Tournament, please call James at 908-458-7310. You can also email larrysmithmemorial@gmail.com. Or you can see the flyer on the Mayor's e-news and the Hillsborough Township Facebook page. The rain date is slated for August 21st. Now, Somerset County. Beginning yesterday, Monday, August 9th, County Bridge on Zion-Wurtsville Road will be closed for rehabilitation. The bridge closure will be in effect for approximately 113 days. Please plan an alternative route or follow the posted detour signs. That's it for me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Right. Deputy Mayor Duffler.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to note thank you to the Military Order of the Purple Heart. Had an opportunity on Saturday, along with Committeewoman Erickson, to participate in their annual recognition day for the Purple Heart. For those of you that aren't aware, the Purple Heart is the longest running military award. It's given to those that are either wounded or killed in combat. And Hillsborough was recognized about 8 or 9 years ago as the As a Purple Heart community, we were the first in Somerset County and only the second in the state to be recognized. So we certainly take the Purple Heart ceremony very seriously. We appreciate the military order being here to share their stories with us. And it was a very nice ceremony that we had at our Garden of Honor in front of the memorial that we have for the Purple Heart that was donated by the military order. So good day all around. Certainly very, very thankful to have those military personnel with us, and appreciate all the veterans as well that came out, and some of the public that joined us that morning. Regarding a couple of items on some of the liaison areas for finance, final tax bills will be mailed the third week of September. This will include the November 2021 taxes as well as the February and May of 2022 estimates. So you can expect those bills to go out in about a month. From the Business Advocate, the last several years, we have been trying to promote our local businesses, in particular our restaurants, and we will be doing Restaurant Week again this year. That will run from September the 28th through October the 3rd, and it's our fourth annual, and we're now taking registration for any Hillsborough restaurateurs that would like to participate in that Restaurant Week. Participating restaurants will have the opportunity to promote their own creative masterpieces to be enjoyed by foodies or just our regular folks here in town. So please get out and register. We hope our businesses will register, and we'd love for the public to get out and support our local restaurants. I think we all know the challenges of our restaurants have had over the last 18 months. So anything we can do to help promote them and get some volume going in through their restaurants is certainly welcome. So more to come on that, but again, that'll be the end of September into early October. The Hillsborough Municipal Alliance, Empower Somerset, and the Hillsborough Millstone Municipal Alliance are presenting Bridge for Success, an 8-week virtual program focusing on stress reduction and management for young adults 18 to 24 years of age. Participants will gain an understanding of stress and its root causes, and will walk away with a personal stress management plan. Program offers community service hours, class credits, and a $25 gift card for those who complete the program. Registration can be found starting tomorrow in the Mayor's E-News, the Township website, and the Hillsborough Township Facebook page. Obviously, a lot of stress going around again over the last year and a half or so, in particular with some of our young people. So if you would like to participate, we're appreciative of the Alliance for putting this program on. And if you have an interest in stress management, please check it out on the website to register. And then finally, as it relates to the Office of Emergency Management, on Wednesday, August 4th, Hillsborough Township Emergency Services participated in a helicopter hoist drill with the New Jersey State Police Aviation Unit at the Sourland Preserves. Participating agencies, Hillsborough, OEM, Police Department, Fire District, CERT, and the county OEM and Search and Rescue. And it was done to try and work on the extraction of simulated victims from the preserve. So thanks to them for doing those drills. That's all from me now.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have a few, then we'll get on to some proclamations and other things. On Sunday, June 27th, I attended the ribbon cutting for Flounder Brewing for the grand opening of their new home. It's a gorgeous facility. They've been located in Hillsborough since 2010 and have moved to Carriage Farm at 2 Clerico Lane and one of the beautifully renovated 250-year-old barns. Flounder is Hillsborough's first and only brewer, and in Somerset County's oldest, which I guess isn't hard, for 12 years makes you the oldest brewer in the county, but hey, they've got the badge, wear it. For more information on Flounder Brewing in Hillsborough, visit flounderbrewing.com, but it really is a beautiful facility. I went with some of the people from our EDBC and the just the architecture alone is gorgeous, and it's really a great way that they preserved some of the history of Hillsborough. So I recommend it. And then talking about some other things about Hillsborough's history, on July 16th, I, along with several other township representatives and officials, attended an employee appreciation event for Reckitt Benckiser in honor of their 50th anniversary. As you know, or may not know, RB produces Lysol, which predominantly, I think 90% of Lysol products that were sold around the country and world during COVID, right out of this little sleepy town of Hillsborough. They've been under tremendous strain the last 18 months. They were working obviously 3 shifts, producing as much as they could in the demand, and they did a great job. And we, as a community and also as a country, owe them a great deal of gratitude of keeping us safe. They were tremendous in helping us, donating product to our health department and our community without even asking. They were, how can we help you? So congratulations and thank you to the people at Reckitt Benckiser. We had a bittersweet day the other day that we were congratulate, but also sorry to see our remaining canine, Freddie, had to be retired due to some ongoing health reasons. But we thank him for his service to our community, and hopefully spends lots of time chasing balls around the backyard of Freddie's house. So we thank him for his service. We also had a pretty special day. I and the chief had the pleasure and the honor to share duties with a young lady named Adeline Ike, as she was sworn in as mayor for the day and police chief for the day. There'll be more to come about Adeline upcoming meetings, but if you don't know about her, this is a young lady that is fighting brain cancer and is she's just a sweetheart, and we wish her all the best. And we had a great time sharing some time with her. And I'd like to thank all the people of our municipal building who wrote letters of encouragement that we all gave her. I mean, it was not asked for. It was just our township and our community here in this building did everything they could to make her feel special that day. And I know I was very proud of everybody's, both in the police department and on the civilian side, of how we made her feel that day. And then last weekend, we had our annual family camp out fishing derby. And once again, a family favorite event here in Hillsborough. Thank you to all the residents who participated in the camp out. The winning fish was 1 pound this year. Not a big sucker, but a winning fish is a winning fish. And very proud to all our derby winners. I think it's just a great way to bond with your kids and spend some time in the outdoors and pass along a generational love for the outdoors. And I really encourage it. And then obviously go to the camp out and watch the movies. It's a great thing our Parks and Rec does for the community. And then with calling our veterans, obviously Frank talked about our Purple Heart ceremony, but just a reminder, on Saturday, September 18th, we will be hosting the 250th anniversary parade, which starts at 10 o'clock sharp. And we weren't able to have our Memorial Day parade, so we're kind of morphing it all together. All interested veterans will be provided a shuttle in the morning of September 18th, leaving the main entrance of the municipal building at 9:30. We invite all interested Hillsborough veterans to register by calling the Hillsborough Parks and Recreation office at 908-369-4832. And we'd have the pleasure of marching with all of you to get the recognition you all deserve, as well as the rest of my committee members here. Or you can register online via Community Pass. And something new that I wasn't really aware of, but as we continue to celebrate Hillsborough's 250th anniversary, we'd like to invite residents, businesses, organizations, and to participate in the township's first ever Scarecrow Festival. Participants can create scarecrows that depict historic people and famous characters, or they can go the traditional route. All entries are welcome as long as they are family friendly and homemade. Can't buy from Amazon, gotta make it. Scarecrows will grace the grassy knoll outside our municipal building in the winding pathway beside the rain garden at the municipal complex. on registering your handcrafted scarecrows for the Scarecrow Festival, please see tomorrow's Mayor's E-News, the Hillsborough Township Facebook page, and the Hillsborough Township website at hillsborough-n.org. And I don't think that it'd be really cool to make scarecrows of the township, but, might be fun.
Is that a challenge?
But anyway, the Rotary Fair is back. After a year's hiatus, obviously due to the COVID restrictions, the annual Rotary Fair and Business Expo will once again transform the Hillsborough Promenade into a classic carnival with a colorful midway, amusement rides, games of chance, fireworks, food vendors, and the exposition of local businesses. The Rotary Fair, sponsored by the A&B Landscaping Company, will be open for 5 days, beginning Tuesday, August 17th. Fair hours are 6 to 10 p.m. on Tuesday through Thursday, and from 6 to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. In addition to the fair's classic thrill rides, food vendors, games of chance, an all-around good time, and seeing all the local businesses, a spectacular fireworks display by Interstate Fireworks and sponsored by Petrox Bar and Grill and Petrox Liquors will light up the Hillsborough skies on Friday evening, August 20th at approximately 10 p.m. Rain date is the next day, Saturday, August 21st at 10 p.m. So I'm going to say, as a Rotarian here, we love the fact that the community comes together and celebrates, and I feel no better way after going through the year that we've had to come out and have some fun with your family. It was evident when we had the fireworks back in July. The excitement was great. So I'll hopefully build on that and continue to come out of this pandemic with some fun. As always, you can stay connected with the events and more via the Wednesday e-newsletter. Be sure to follow and like the official Hillsborough Township Facebook page and Twitter, TV29 and the Hillsborough YouTube channels showcase our meetings and Hillsborough The Good Life episodes and Hillsborough alerts for traffic and emergency notifications. That's all we have to read for now. We do have some proclamations and presentations for this evening. I will call each recipient up one at a time. After receiving your recognition and posing for a picture, we ask that you please return to your seat. We will pause after the recognition and presentations for all those to allow for your departure. So I will come up and we will start. So Jennifer is first. Brandon.
It's K-A-R.
Don't be shy.
Thank you.
Jennifer Pullman, a registered nurse, can you hear me, guys? Good. Has the honor of being named as Hillsborough High School's Governor's Educational Services Professional of the Year for 2021 because of her dedication and service to Hillsborough's school district. Jennifer Anna Pullman has been a member of the Hillsborough School District faculty for 4 years. Jennifer Anna Pullman, a registered nurse, was the last nurse standing at the Hillsborough High School last year in an office normally staffed by 3 nurses. Jennifer handled all the calls and concerns from students, parents, and staff facing infection or exposure to COVID-19 and was the point person for contact tracing. Jennifer Pullman has focused on educating students and families about healthy relationships and teen dating violence. She initiated new wellness programs and activities such as virtual scavenger hunt, a healthy recipe exchange, and creating de-stress stations during midterm and final exams. Jennifer also created a comfortable private lactation room in the health office for those returning from maternity leave. Jennifer Pullman coordinated with St. Peter's University Hospital to administer flu vaccinations to the staff in the district. She is the president-elect of the Somerset County School Nurses Association and an active member of the NJ State School Nurses Association and a special events committee lead for Borough Safe. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, further commend Jennifer Anna Pullman for being recognized as Hillsborough High School's flip over, you got lost up, you got 2 pages. Governor's Educational Service Professional of the Year, and we thank her for all her work and dedication. the Hillsborough youth.
Thank you very much. This is very special and very appreciated. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Kathleen? Kathleen here? I in the back row. Just gotta say it slow and say it words. Your consonants in the back. Kathleen DiGirolamo, a second grade teacher, has the honor of being named as Triangles Elementary School Governor's Educator of the Year for 2021 because of her dedication and service to Hillsborough School District. Kathleen DiGirolamo has been a member of the Hillsborough School District faculty for 17 years. Pretty good. With 15 years in her current position. Kathleen DiGirolamo has written district curriculum for every subject for second grade, including math, English, language arts, social studies, and science. Kathleen DiGirolamo has served as the Hillsborough Education Association building representative and as a scholarship and the scholarship committee. Kathleen DiGirolamo has volunteered as a team mom for Immaculata football, secretary for the Hillsborough Raider Takedown Club, and apparel chair for the Hillsborough Raider Touchdown Club. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, further commend Kathleen DiGirolamo for being recognized as Triangles Elementary School's Governor's Educator of the Year, and we thank her for all her work and dedication to Hillsborough.
So you may have heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I've often heard that as an elementary teacher. And I'm so privileged to have been part of that village for so many of my students. But I also, you may not know, or you may, that it takes a village to be a teacher as well. And there's a lot of people in my village that I would like to thank. If I have 2 seconds.
It's your night.
Thank you. I'd like to first thank the Hillsborough School District for providing us teachers with all the tools and resources to make us the best teachers that we can be for our students. I'd like to thank my students and their families for always bringing me smiles and being willing to learn every day and try new things. I'd like to thank my Triangle School family, my amazing second grade teammates over the years, my colleagues, and my former and current principal. Special thanks to my family, of course, for all their love and understanding that there's only so many hours in a day. And finally, to you, Mayor Penny, and the Township Committee, thank you. I'm humbled and grateful for this honor. Thank you.
Coming up?
Yeah.
If she gives you props, you gotta come up with a
Mayor, I'd just like to point out that Greenbrook High School graduate, Kathy, and her husband,
They're Hillsborough now, Bill.
Yeah,
It's
true, and they've been in Hillsborough ever since, but yeah. We all graduated together, went to school with them.
Wow, that's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Carly Wolf, a Hillsborough resident, Newmark Education graduate, and future freshman at Union County College, and a member of Girl Scout Troop 60304, has earned her Gold Award. Carly's Gold Award project involved constructing a dog waste station at the Plainfield Humane Society by converting a mailbox and filling it with recycled bags. Carly also made over 200 cat toys for the Humane Society and Tabby's Place, Cat Sanctuary. She held 2 bake sales to raise the necessary funds. The project took over 80 hours to complete. Carly was an honor roll student and a member of the Cooking Club and Minecraft Club. Carly also participates in horseback riding and volunteers at the Plainfield Humane Society. Carly serves as an example to the youth of Hillsborough Township through her achievements, leadership, and community service, and we are very proud that Carly is a member of our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, do hereby recognize and extend our sincere congratulations to Carly Wolf for having earned her Girl Scout Gold Award, and honor for both her and those who have guided her, and wish Carly all the best in her future endeavors. Congratulations.
I would like to thank the mayor and the township committee. It is an honor and a privilege. And thank you to mom and dad.
Kayla? Kayla Parlato, a Hillsborough High School graduate, incoming freshman at Northeastern University and a member of the Girl Scout Troop 60304, has earned her Gold Award. Kayla's Gold Award project involved constructing a metal bike repair station at the municipal building. A prototype was built using a 3D printer. The repair station was built using a MIG welding machine, metal grinders, drills, and power saws, and required a concrete foundation. A QR code was attached and linked to maintenance and repair instructions. The project took 153 hours to complete with the help of 19 people. Kayla was a member of the Hillsborough High School National Honor Society and the Chinese Honor Society. Kayla was on the Hillsborough High School First Robotics Robo Raiders team. A WISE, W-I-S-E, Women in Science and Engineering leader, and co-founder of the new First Lego League Club for 6th graders at Autumn Road Intermediate School, and ran varsity cross country at high school. Kayla serves as an example to the youth of Hillsborough Township through her achievements, leadership, and community service, and we are very proud that Kayla is a member of our community. Now therefore be proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, do hereby recognize and extend our sincere congratulations to Kayla Parlato for having earned her Girl Scout Gold Award, and honor for both her and those who have guided her, and wish Kayla all the best in her future.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and the Township Committee for recognizing my achievement. I'm honored. I would also like to thank Mrs. Hobson, my Girl Scout troop leader since 1st grade. She has helped me so much throughout the years, and I couldn't have done this without you. I would also like to thank Mrs. Borg for helping and guiding me throughout the entire Gold Award process and helping me achieve this goal. Thank you to Mr. McCarrow for donating a powder coating on my bike repair station. I am extremely grateful. And lastly, but certainly not least, thank you to my parents for their continuous support throughout everything. Thank you and happy biking.
Manasi Chaluka.
Yeah.
A high school senior and a member of the Girl Scout Troop 60643. 60643 is out a pretty good summer here. Has earned her Gold Award. Manasi's Gold Award project involved developing a program at Rutgers 4-H called DIY Science, wherein she educated, inspired, and engaged students virtually using household items to conduct fun science experiments. The project took 80 plus hours and the aid of 3 women at Rutgers 4-H. The program ran for 5 months and 20 to 25 students participated. Manasi is a member of the National Honor Society and vice president of the Interact Club. Manasi volunteered at Homefront, organizing and donating diapers, and prepared 14 frozen trays of food to donate to the Bridgewater Food Pantry. Manasi serves as an example to the youth of Hillsborough Township through her achievements, leadership, and community service, and we are very proud that Manasi is a member of our community. Now for there, we have proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, do hereby recognize and extend our sincere congratulations to Manasi Chaluka for having earned her Girl Scout Gold Award, and honor both her and for those that have guided her, and wish Manasi all the best in her future endeavors. Congratulations.
I'm so grateful to the mayor and the community for honoring me with my gold award. I want to thank, first of all, my troop leader, Mrs. Fox. I've been a Girl Scout since I was in 6th grade, and she has been there from the very beginning. And I want to thank my 2 parents sitting there. Thank you for supporting me and helping me. And yeah.
Congratulations. No pressure. Okay. We now have a presentation presented by the Vulnerable Population Outreach Team on the strengthening of local public health grant, Mrs. Tiffany Neal, and our health officer, Saban Spano.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Tiffany Neal, and I am the health educator for Hillsborough Township. I'm presenting tonight on behalf of the Health Department's Vulnerable Population Outreach Coordination Team. I will be sharing the results of the Vulnerable Population Needs Assessment that we conducted and review our action plan for how we are responding to COVID-19. And I'm going to apologize that I'll be relying heavily on notes because our other outreach coordinator was not able to be here tonight.
It's okay.
The funding for our work comes from 2 different grants awarded by the Department of Health from the state that came originally from the CDC. We were able to hire several part-time staff members with these grants, including a COVID-19 generalist and public health nurse. The funds will be used to connect vulnerable populations to needed social services and also to conduct vaccine clinics. Funding is expected to continue for at least the next 2 years. Our first order of business was to conduct an assessment of the population of Hillsborough to identify the impact of COVID-19, particularly on certain groups who were most affected. The full assessment report can be found on the Hillsborough COVID-19 website about halfway down. We also looked at wider health and economic issues affecting residents of Hillsborough that go beyond COVID-19, like access to transportation and health disparities that were present even before the pandemic. The assessment was developed in collaboration with the Family Success Center, part of Empower Somerset. We used several sources of quantitative data, including demographic information from multiple local, state, and national databases, ALICE report data, demographic information from the Board of Education and the Hillsborough Township Police Department. We also conducted multiple focus groups and interviews with stakeholders who work closely with community members. Some of them are listed there. Through community-level data and focus groups with stakeholders, we identified a variety of vulnerable populations in Hillsborough. These include people with an economic disadvantage, the elderly, infants, mothers with newborns, adolescents, school-aged children, children in remote school without adult supervision, families with children who have healthcare needs, grandparents who are guardians of grandchildren, people living in homeless shelters or temporary housing, long-term care settings, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, people living in group homes, Hispanic and Latino persons, Black and African American persons, migrant workers, undocumented immigrants, and people who are uninsured or underinsured. So these were the focus of our assessment in the Township of Hillsborough. We identified a variety of impacts from the pandemic on these populations that I'll go into a little bit more. For physical and mental health, we found a huge toll mentally and emotionally in all age groups, but especially the elderly who are very isolated. We also heard about an increase in domestic violence, as well as delays in routine medical care like immunizations. In education, we saw certain populations having difficulty accessing remote learning, high truancy, lack of engagement, and an increase in the number of failing students. As for employment, we saw a spike in unemployment that has now returned to previous levels in Hillsborough. However, certain groups were disproportionately affected, including daycare and school employees, women with young children, and the Latino population. For human and social services, during the early days of the pandemic, we saw a profound disruption in services because places closed or could not offer remote help. We have also seen a lack of therapists and counselors, especially for adolescents, and this shortage continues today. For community resources, we saw a reduction in the availability of resources for things like food pantries and access to basic medical care. In terms of ethnic and racial disparities, there was a disproportionate impact to Latino families, particularly those with low income. Many children reported difficulty with school and remote learning. We also noted a lack of representation at the leadership level of community and municipal groups for Black and Latino families. As far as hard numbers go, we have seen over 3,300 cases of COVID-19 as of August 1st and 112 deaths in Hillsborough residents. Although the case numbers are distributed across all age groups, the majority of deaths occurred in people 70 and over, although we did have one person in their 40s who died. We do not have data on those who had severe cases of illness, were hospitalized, or are suffering from long-haul COVID symptoms. But it's important to keep in mind those impacts as well. We should also note that the impact to families who lost loved ones cannot be quantified, but it's surely a devastating toll. Now some good news. We are making some great strides in getting Hillsborough residents vaccinated. These statistics as of August 1st show that for all age groups, about 66% of Hillsborough residents are fully vaccinated. And for adults 18 and over, that number is 80%. If you're wondering what the 112% is for 65 and over, that has to do with people who may have been double counted because they may be in a long-term care facility in Hillsborough, but their residence is outside of Hillsborough. So that's why the numbers look a little funny.
Extra credit.
There you go.
Extra shot.
We'll take them. In terms of barriers to vaccination, we have noticed that the rates of vaccination in white and Hispanic residents are lagging slightly, although the data reporting on race is often incomplete. Some of the other barriers are access to technology, especially early on. You needed to be able to do a lot of magic with the internet to get a vaccine appointment. It's easier now. Residents who are homebound, misconceptions about access, so not knowing that you can get it for free, you don't need health insurance, you don't need identification in most places. Concerns about side effects, difficulty taking time off work, distrust, and historic and structural racism and other forms of oppression. In terms of the vaccines that we've given in our township, we've given 55% of the vaccines that we've given have been to Hispanic or Latino people, 28% white, 10% Black, and 7% Asian. And I will note that some of the vaccinations we give at our clinics are to people who work in Hillsborough and may not live in Hillsborough. And so we don't necessarily get credit for those since they're not Hillsborough residents, but we are still helping to vaccinate more New Jersey residents. This graph shows the daily Hillsborough COVID cases for the past month, July 1st to August 1st. And as you can see, there is a uptick that's happening right now, most likely due to the new Delta variant. We had no cases for a long time, and it's starting to creep back up again. Most cases did not require hospitalization, perhaps because people are vaccinated. People aged 20 to 29 make up the largest percentage of cases right now. You can also see quite a few cases among children, including that first bar is children ages 0 to 11 who are not currently eligible to be vaccinated. In terms of people who got COVID-19 and whether they were vaccinated or not, there are similar numbers across age groups where some people were vaccinated, some were not. However, we will say that the only 2 hospitalized cases in Hillsborough are, this slide is a little bit out of date just because in the past week the data has changed, but 1 person in their 60s and 1 person as identified in their 80s were hospitalized, and those were unvaccinated people. So we have not had any hospitalizations among our vaccinated population. There have also not been any positive COVID cases among kids aged 12 to 19 who were vaccinated. So finally, from the vulnerable populations assessment, we developed an action plan to address the impacts of COVID-19 and other social and economic drivers of health in Hillsborough Township. We have been holding vaccination clinics at the municipal building, private businesses, and apartment complexes around town. We are spreading educational information throughout the community through workshops, social media, and events like next week's Rotary Fair. We developed a thorough resource directory and have been using it to connect people to needed social supports. We have created a COVID collaborative, a partnership with other organizations, agencies, businesses, and groups in town in order to guide us in our outreach, and we've had 2 meetings so far. And we will also be updating our emergency preparedness guides in anticipation of future emergencies. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to take them, and you can also contact us with that information there.
Thank you. Saban, do you have anything to add? Drop the mic.
Well, I just wanted to say that in the beginning of this whole thing, the Social Services Department did a lot of work with us. They did reach out to the seniors at first, trying to get them, appointments. They've been trying to help us to get to homebound people. So we've been reaching out. Also, Hillsborough Pharmacies helped us to also go out to homebound people as well as the VNA. And and also some people in the municipal building have, stepped up and helped us at our clinics. So I just wanted to, let you know that everybody's helping us. So.
Thank you. You both have done a tremendous job over the past 18 months, and we're all thankful. And I don't know if you hear it enough, but you probably don't, but thank you for everything that you've done under extreme circumstances. There was no book written for this, so you wrote it. So thank you very
And we worked a lot
much.
at the high school. Jen Amphone really deserves that. So.
Any questions from Dias for them? Any questions from the public while we're here? Sean? I'll ask one question. You said for the Rotary Fair, are you having a clinic, a vaccination clinic, or just information? Just information. Okay. Just as a clarification. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So that concludes our proclamations and presentations for today. So we will take a short break for all those who'd like to leave and go home. This is the time. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck here and listen to all the good stuff that we have to do from now on. So we'll take a 5-minute break. Hillsborough, New Jersey, celebrating 250 years of a rich history.
Hi, I'm Mayor Sean Lapani, and I'm proud to showcase Hillsborough, one of the best places to live in America.
From the preserved farms that help feed the world, to the Vanderveer House, to the John R. Stott's house, restored and currently utilized for business, to the magnificent and world-famous Duke Farms,
Where you can walk or ride a bike through their historic grounds. To the iconic Neshannock Reformed Church, and just down the road is our fabulous Neshannock Mill, located right on the picturesque Raritan River.
you're invited to visit Hillsborough, a great place to live, work, play, and do business anytime. And experience over 250 years of proud history in Hillsborough, New Jersey. Hillsborough, New Jersey, celebrating 250 years of a rich history.
Hi, I'm Mayor Sean Lapani, and I'm proud to showcase Hillsborough, one of the best places to live in America.
From the preserved farms that help feed the world, to the Vanderveer House, to the John R. Stott's house, restored and currently utilized for business, to the magnificent and world-famous Duke Farms,
where you can walk or ride a bike through their historic grounds, to the iconic Neshannock Reformed Church, and just down the road is our fabulous Neshannock Mill, located right on the picturesque Raritan River.
You're invited to visit Hillsborough, a great place to live, work, play, and do business anytime. And experience over 250 years of proud history in Hillsborough, New Jersey. Hillsborough, New Jersey, celebrating 250 years of a rich history.
Hi, I'm Mayor Sean Lapani, and I'm proud to showcase Hillsborough, one of the best places to live in America.
From the preserved farms that help feed the world, to the Vanderveer House, to the John R. Stott's house, restored and currently utilized for business, to the magnificent and world-famous Duke Farms,
where you can walk or ride a bike through their historic grounds, to the iconic Neshannock Reformed Church, and just down the road is our fabulous Neshannock Mill, located right on the picturesque Raritan River.
You're invited to visit Hillsborough, a great place to live, work, play, and do business anytime. And experience over 250 years of proud history in Hillsborough, New Jersey. We're back in session. Thank you to the Vulnerable Populations Outreach Team. This was a valuable presentation in terms of our ongoing efforts for preparedness for the future. And I would, as I said, I would be remiss not to acknowledging tremendous work as we did for Health Officer Mrs. Saban Spano and her team for their tireless efforts since the ongoing pandemic 18 months ago. God, it's hard to believe it was 18 months already. But thanks again. And we are in a great deal of debt to your work. There's no new business at this time, so we will, at this point, any public comment on new business not on today's agenda, we will entertain those comments first. So if you have anybody that has a comment on anything that's not on today's agenda, please come up. Okay, got one? Okay, no, not coming. You coming up, Meryl? Okay. No, she's just sitting in the front. Hello, Meryl.
Hello.
You know the routine.
Meryl Bisberg, 4 Hickory Hill Road. Do we have an indoor mask mandate? I thought we did.
We do not.
Okay. I thought the governor called one. It's separate for public meetings.
We have not adopted one at this time yet, and we are in communication with our health department and CDC.
Recommended only.
Recommended only.
It came down as a recommendation, not a mandate.
Okay, well, Hillsborough reported 20 cases today, and the curve is going like this. So Siobhan is here. I mean, is this something that you would recommend?
You got to talk to the mic.
Please address
I'm sorry.
everything to the mayor.
I'm sorry.
This is public comment to
Yeah,
the mayor,
okay.
not.
All right.
So it's ongoing. We'll take into consideration as things progress, but as of right now, for this meeting, we did not have a mandate. If you want to wish to wear a mask, as always, you're more than welcome to.
My only other comment is that I think there's 30 resolutions on the agenda tonight. And I would just like to ask as a general rule, because there's very little information in the short agenda, that we don't see the long agenda until 5, 6 o'clock that night. So it's hard to even know if the agendas are for a hire, if they're for a property, what property. It's just very little information for the public. So I was just going to ask tonight that maybe the standard things like raises, refunds, all that could be put together, but everything else, environmental studies, things like that, new hires be taken separately, so it could be explained to the public.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Maria Janusik, 720 East Frank Avenue, Manville, New Jersey, also Hillsborough Township property owner, Block 86, Block 3, 2155 Camp Lane Road. I don't know if there's going to be any comment made on the letter that I gave in regard to the path that was being cleared on the property adjacent to mine that is not a part of the Sherman redevelopment tract.
Well, I can tell you that a letter was sent to you, just hasn't received it yet, and I'll let the counselor if he wants to, but essentially it was an error by the contractor. He went to the wrong side of the property. It had nothing to do with the township. There was nothing other than an error by the contractor on the wrong lot, and it's being addressed. Anything else you'd like to add to that, counselor?
No, that's basically it. If you give us an email address, we can send it directly to you, but we didn't have an email address on file, so we sent you a letter because you did inquire about the incident.
Okay, but I have questions about this application because there was nothing ever said about a road being done on Concord Street. That's a paper street. So that property, Block 86, Lot 1, on the property record card shows that it's Estelle Street and not Concord Street. There's no street there. So I don't know what's being cleared over there right now. So a paper street, what's being done with that as far as the township is concerned, because that was not a part of that development.
All the plans that were submitted have been approved of showing egress and exit from the properties as far as any streets and or done based on the plans that were approved and done now months ago. So if you have a question, you could go down to the engineering department and they can point out to you what the plans that you probably have in your hand already. So it's just basically what happened in your reference to your letter was the contractor was trying to enter the site to begin doing things and went to the wrong lot and the wrong side. Had
Okay,
nothing to do with
I did go to the
us.
engineering department, and I spoke with Mr. Frank Ballinger, the Hillsborough Township Assistant Engineer.
Mhm.
And I had a question about that street, because that was not ever really brought up at the meeting when the lots were being subdivided, and nothing was said about that being given to the developer, or what the township was going to be doing with that.
The
with
plans
that
were there.
paper street.
If you had a question, you could have asked at that time, because I know you were at all the meetings and the plans were all put up for public viewing. And if you didn't notice the road going in to enter the project, I can't answer that question, because you usually come to everything. So,
Mayor,
But-
Mayor, I think the bottom line is we will ensure that this particular site is developed in accordance with the approved site plan.
that's correct.
What?
We will ensure that this property is developed in accordance with the approved site plan.
So there were no changes made after we had meetings and everything was discussed? There were no changes or revisions made?
And if there were, they would have been done in public.
Okay.
Ms. Janczak,
So-
but as you know, we cannot talk about a specific on a map and answer your questions at this meeting. We've had this conversation. If you want to bring up a topic, you can, but please know, whatever you're going to ask about that particular map that's in front of you, we're not going to be able to answer, because it was approved months ago
So,
at planning board, not even here.
okay, but there are things on here now that were never brought up during those meetings. I bought a copy of the major site plan. It says here, block 86, lot 21. Well, how was this a site plan for block 86, lot 21, when I was at a public hearing when block 86, lot 21 was subdivided into block 86, lot 21.01, and block 86, lot 21.02, and block 86, lot 21.01 was supposed to be phase one. Now it's showing the entire property on this site plan over here. So that's not what was discussed at the meetings. So I don't know what's going on. That's why when I saw that swath being cleared through the property next to mine, I'm starting to question what's going on over here.
Well, Ms.
Also-
Janusik, thank you for
also-
bringing that to our attention, and that matter has been dealt with because the contractor, we said, made an error and encroached on that property. The contractor will have to address that with the owner of that property. As far as the site plan there, if you have any questions about it, we suggest that you go to the engineering and the planning department to ask them whatever questions, but the township committee, this is not the appropriate forum for them to answer questions about an approved site plan.
Okay. At the last public hearing for the campus associates, the ordinance that was passed specifically for campus associates, I had asked a question about the permits from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Who has those? And the planning board attorney, Eric Bernstein, stated that it was the engineering department. So I went to the engineering department. I spoke with the assistant township engineer, Frank Ballinger, and he said no. He says they don't have the permits from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. He said he was at that meeting and he heard what Attorney Bernstein said, and he said that that's not accurate. He doesn't have them. Then I went to the planning board, to the planning department. I spoke with Mr. David Maskey, the planning director. I said, do you have copies of the permits from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection? He said that that's not his concern. So whose concern is it? Who has the permits that were granted or should have been granted by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for the campus associates application and also for this Sherman Tract
Well, I'll just say that the
application.
plan hasn't been approved yet at the planning board, because it's still an open application. So that can be asked at the next planning board when that application comes back, and we can make sure that they may have not been filed yet, but the application is not closed yet. As you know, all of that was approved was the wording to allow, per the judge, to eliminate the need for the study and the, what was the other thing?
Setback.
The setback.
For waivers and
The waivers and such. So
variances.
that's all that
And-
meeting was about. So they still have to come back to the planning board to finish the application.
And
So-
Mayor, if I may, many times the board does grant an application,
Based on
and it's
approvals.
subject to them
Approvals.
getting all their required approvals, including from the NJDEP.
That's correct.
So maybe the applicant has not gotten those approvals as of yet.
Which I believe is what
What they
was
said.
said at
That's
the meeting.
correct.
Okay, now, as far as the Sherman Tract, on here, it states that there, and this was approved. Mr. Ballinger showed me this, so that's why I obtained copies of it. It says this was approved. Deborah Paget from the planning department had a plat, page 1 of 1, that had all these names of all the people who approved it from the county and whoever else, the township engineer. It said it was approved, it was signed, and yet on this, it says that the permits are pending. So how do you start a project and clear roads when you still don't have the approval from the NJDEP? Block 86, lot 21, 1/3 of that property is wetlands. There's a DNR Canal Commission conservation easement on there. There's streams, and there's no approval permits. According to Mr. Ballinger, he doesn't have them. Mr. Maskey said he doesn't have them. So who has them, and how is this project starting without those approvals?
Well, as Ms. Deputy Mayor Delco said, we don't have the plans here, so we can't answer that question.
I have them right here.
But
It
we-
says
we-
it's
but we can
pending.
find
So
out
how
that
do you-
there
how
have
do
to
you
be-
start
I'm a
the
little
project?
confused about the
Yeah.
question because
Yeah,
now
I'm
we
like-
just mixed two projects.
Yeah.
We just mixed Campus Associates with the Sherman Tract. I believe those are two different projects.
They
They are
too.
two different projects.
Okay.
I just stated that both of those projects need permits from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection.
Correct.
So I understood what you said, that the campus application hasn't been approved yet, so we're waiting, whoever is waiting for the township is waiting for the permits from the NJDEP. I'm not talking about the Sherman tract. And everything has approvals on it, and yet on here, it says that the permits from the NJDEP are pending, and also.
What's the
it
date?
says
What are the
there's a
date, what's the date of
proposed-
the
What's the
plans,
date of the
Pam?
plan?
Excuse me?
What's the date
of
on the
those
plan?
plans?
This is what I got from the
What's
office.
the date on the plans? You have them, what's the date on them?
Mr. Ballinger didn't have the permits there.
What
Yes,
I
yes,
asked,
can I-
who am I supposed to
My
ask?
point is, when the plans were done, they probably were pending.
Okay,
So
so
you-
maybe, so if they're not pending now, who has them? Mr. Ballinger doesn't and Mr. Maskey doesn't.
Don't know. As I said to
Wow,
you
that's
before.
the
I-
question.
I would suggest instead of getting into a back and forth, because we go down this rabbit hole every time, if you have any questions, please direct them to the engineering department and the planning department. We have full confidence in our township engineer, in our planning department, and our engineering department to make sure that the project is in fact constructed in accordance with the approved plans and that all necessary permits and approvals from all relevant agencies are obtained.
Okay, can you answer me one question?
No.
Who will have the permit approvals? What department, what Hillsborough Township official that I can go to and I can say, show me those approvals? Who is that?
I'll find out and I'll let you know.
Wow, nobody knows yet?
No,
All these times that we
first
had
off, you're looking
all
at the
this
wrong
stuff
guy.
go-
That was the mayor who just
everything that
answered your
goes on to the
question.
planning
Maria, you were,
department, and no one knows.
The engineering department will eventually have
they
them.
will have them.
You're asking who has them first.
The engineering department will eventually have them. Okay, that's just the way all permits are done. So even though Tom Bellinger, which is named, not Ballinger, it's Bellinger, you dropped something.
And it's Tom, not Frank.
Yeah, Tom Bellinger. They will eventually have all the engineering permits. They have to, but DEP may have the permits today. Okay, they may be the one currently having the permits. They're issued the permits. I imagine DEP has the permits. That's if they issued them yet. You're talking about how it's pending on there, but as the mayor just said to you, he will double check when we receive them and let you know. But isn't that fair? I mean, you're
I'm saying if this project is starting already, then you should have those permits.
in the DEP may not.
So Committeeman Delcourt is saying that, look at the date, maybe we haven't gotten. it yet.
No, that's not what he was saying,
If- if
Maria.
the project
To be
is
fair,
starting-
Maria, that's not what he was
Please,
saying.
please, my point was, you're saying on the plans, it says pending. And my point was, when the plans were submitted, I'm sure they were pending because no plans are ever complete with the DEP approvals at the time the plans are submitted. Who would have them now? will depend on when the DEP gets them done.
I
And maybe
understand.
there was a conversation that the DEP indicated that they were granting the approvals, and we just don't have the permits yet, which is why the project started. I don't have the answer for you with that question, but we will find out and we will report back. But if the implication is that our municipal employees are not doing what they're supposed to do and allowing this, I can assure you that's not the case. So we will find the answer out. But if you want the answers or you want a grandstand, you can submit those questions so that we know what we're talking about, rather than having you look at a plan and us trying to answer something that we don't have in front of us. That was my point.
Okay, and I thought my question was very simple, is who has the permits from the NJDEP when an applicant has to apply to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for permits? And should those permits be in place before a project starts? Those are my very simple questions. I don't know why this became such a big brouhaha.
We don't even know why I don't know why the contractor, could have been someone there just to go in and start marking out for the permit process. So this isn't necessarily the guy that was going in there was going to start bulldozing the site to start putting buildings up. I don't know why what that contractor's job was to be there. Maybe it was to get access to fulfill getting all the permits and do the delineation.
It could have been soil
So,
tests, it could
soil
have
tests
been
and everything else.
water
So,
level tests. It's like
Maybe
literally
we'll
what you need
find
to
out who was
apply.
there and we'll let you know, okay?
Okay, another thing with that project is I looked at that application and the traffic study shows.
I'm sorry, Maria, could you be more specific? You've talked about 3 different projects. Could you just name which one you're talking about now?
The Sherman Tract on Block 86,
Okay.
Lot 21, that should be Block 86, Lot 21.01, since it's Phase 1. That one, the traffic study that was done for that project, that's all streets in Manville. Why are Manville streets part of a traffic study?
All this
for Hillsborough?
testimony was done during the planning process. You had an opportunity at that point to ask these questions. At this point, it really doesn't matter. The plan has been approved and there's no sense getting into that. Now, you were at every one of those meetings, Maria. You could have brought that question up at the time of testimony. You chose not to. So, and the professional that would have done the testimony is not here to answer that. So I'm sorry, we can't answer that question.
Okay, at the June 22nd Hillsborough Township Committee meeting, there was a resolution authorizing the sale of certain real property designated as Block 86, Lot 21.01. Located within the Township of Hillsborough, and that sale was to Concord Street Urban Renewal Associates, LP, as the redeveloper of same, and authorizing the mayor and township clerk to execute any and all necessary documents or agreements to effectuate the terms and conditions of this resolution. So this was at the meeting, I think it was the public hearing for the campus associates, so that took a lot of time, and so these were pretty much glossed over. But looking at this, it says that the township and the redeveloper entered into a redevelopment agreement on June 27, 2019, and agreed that the township was going to sell Block 86, Lot 21.01 for one consideration of $1.
That's correct. And
Now,
you were
Block
there for that
86
testimony
Block
too.
86, Lot 21.01, according to the property record card from the tax assessor's office, is valued at,
Ms. Janasek, you've asked this question numerous
valued at
times.
2 million,
So you-
please, excuse me.
But no, this question has been
Valued
asked
at
and answered several times.
$2,347,500. So why did the township sell a property that was bought by the
Asked and
governing
answered.
body of this, of Hillsborough, was purchased in 2018 for under $3 million, and now was sold to privately to a developer for rental apartments for $1.
Do you
Because
remember
the
the
state of
answer
New
we told
Jersey-
you last
Tell me
time?
what?
Do you remember the answer we gave you last time you asked that question, about a month ago?
No, what?
Was you asked the same question at least 3 times?
We've been through this before. It was affordable housing project. Yes, the land was purchased by the township. Yes, the property has been transferred to affordable housing developer to develop it. And yes, it has been transferred for $1.
It was sold for $1. Can I ask
Yes.
why? Can I ask
Exactly.
why?
I just
it
told you
was
why.
sold for $1?
I just told you why. It's an
Because-
affordable housing project.
Because it's affordable housing?
Yes, that's exactly why.
So a private developer now will have 88 units that he is
Hold on.
renting
Yes.
from every month.
Yes,
For almost $1 million
Yes.
a year.
yes.
And that was purchased with public funds. and-
No,
and
that's not, it was not
those
purchased
were
with public funds. It was not purchased with public funds.
Those were public funds.
They were-
Affordable Housing Trust
they're-
Funds.
they're
That is a
part-
public, that's.
They're
They're
public
not,
funds,
they're not,
which,
they're not
Public
taxpayer
money.
dollars.
which
So
2.5,
how did
which
this- how did this
2.5%
developer-
of every commercial transaction, I'm sorry, of every building permit for commercial properties goes into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That's one way. There's also donations made to it when there's building done throughout the state. But as you know, on more than one occasion, we've talked about this. The state of New Jersey, in their most draconian way, has required that every municipality in the state has an affordable housing burden, okay? They're required to build a certain amount of affordable housing units.
I
We
understand
all
that.
agree, no, hold on, wait, please
I
let me
under-
finish.
I
Please let me finish.
understand
I let you
that.
go, so
I'm
please let me,
just asking,
Maria, please
how
let me
did this
finish. I gave you
developer-
an opportunity to
How is
speak,
this developer
so please
allowed to
let,
buy this for
Maria,
$1?
I don't
So
understand
they
why
can now
you.
make $1 million a year.
Let's
on
try
it.
that, okay. Thank you for your comments, and when you sit down, I will answer your questions.
Anything else?
I tried to answer your question, but
Well,
you
my
couldn't
question
let.
also in regard to this is how was this developer picked? How was
Okay.
this developed, how did
This,
this developer?
this was all
picked
done,
to be-
Maria, I'm sorry, we're gonna move on. All these questions have been answered more than 5 times. And every time you come up, we've asked the same questions. And I know that because all the people in the audience are shaking their head because they've heard it too. So
Okay,
that was asked and answered. Do you have any other questions?
okay. So RPM is the one who's developing the project, but Concord is the one who. bought
We've
the
asked and
property.
answered that question too.
And Concord is the one who got the long-term tax exemption because this is an area in need of rehabilitation, which does not qualify for a long-term tax exemption because it's not an area in need of redevelopment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Have any new business that's not been answered 6
There,
or 7
just
times?
for the benefit of those that, by some miracle of God have not heard that question asked before, the reason that we provided that piece of land to the developer was, as Committeeman Thompson started to say, we have to do affordable housing. Money goes into a trust fund, and we have multiple options. We could either build the housing ourselves out of the trust fund. In this case, by essentially providing the land to the developer, they were then able to do 100% affordable development that we would not have otherwise been able to do. So by putting it all on one property, it saved us the ability to put in 3 times the number of market units by doing one development that had 100% affordable. And Ms. Janasek knows that very well because, as the mayor said, we've answered that question about a dozen times.
Here and at the planning board.
No, I'm sorry, please sit down.
And Mayor, I know I've said this before in response to this particular question, but I just don't want anybody to leave with the false representations. Number one, these are affordable housing trust funds. That's what they're there for, to be used for affordable housing purposes, exactly. As Mr. Thompson has indicated, they're collected from developers, and that's why we have affordable housing trust funds for exactly this purpose. Number two is, many municipalities are doing this throughout the state. It is not an uncommon thing for the township to use affordable housing trust funds to buy a property and then to sponsor a 100% affordable project by donating that property to the developer, because that's the only way it makes financial sense for the developer to end up providing these 100% affordable units.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, so you have public comment? Sure. Come up to the mic, please.
No,
well,
you got to
gotta
come all
to
the way
mic
up.
first. And state your name and address for the record, please.
So my name is Patricia Carragher. I'm 19 Wells Boulevard.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I need you
You
to
have to
speak
come
into
to
the
the mic a
microphone
little
so they can
closer.
hear you online.
Rockstar.
Patricia A. Carragher,
Perfect.
19 Wells Boulevard, Hillsborough, New Jersey. Here's my question, and I'm new, so this may have
I
been
recognize you're
asked
new.
and answered a million times. But affordable housing should be, in my mind, from my understanding, connected to development. What did we do as a township to make the developers of non-affordable housing subdivisions responsible for the affordable housing units that would be associated with their development?
How long do you have?
And I know, and I apologize. I mean,
Can I do the brief history?
Go ahead, Doug.
I'll do super brief history that back in the 70s, there was a court case, Mount Laurel versus,
I'm
What was that?
familiar with Mount Laurel.
yeah, okay. I don't know why you jumped in there. There was a, No one wants to just take a second tonight. So, long story short, there was this court case in the state of New Jersey that said towns are required to build a certain amount of affordable housing. Fast forward over many years, there's been different iterations from COA, the Council on Affordable Housing. They had different rounds, et cetera, like that. When essentially during Governor Christie's administration, there was almost no movement on affordable housing for various reasons. You had the fair share advocates, fair share housing, go to the state of New Jersey, basically sue in court at the Supreme Court level and say something has to be done. They said, yes, they do. Supreme Court got involved, essentially put different judges in charge of it and said, every municipality with vacant land and that had building over the years, you're now responsible for X number of units and try to come up with an agreement. Fair share housing essentially wanted something like 2,000 plus units for the town of Hillsborough. Since no one will just build affordable housing units out of the kindness of their hearts, developers come in and they say, okay, we'll build it for you, but only we have to be able to make money on it. So that's when you get these developments that are coming into Hillsborough and other areas, not just us, South Brunswick, Princeton, Montgomery, you name a town, they've been subject to it. And they say, all right, we'll do it for 25% set aside. We'll make 25% of our units affordable housing, the rest regular, and that's how we can make our money. The real rub, if you want to get super angry about all this, is that those units are only for 30 years. So every developer in the state sits on this basically a bond for 30 years that once the 30-year magic number comes up, they get to then sell their units back to regular and make it normal rates again. And then the whole process starts all over. And to get even more angry, we're only covered till 2025. And then the courts are going to give you a whole new number and say you got to build more affordable housing units. It is a cyclical cycle that is broken. It's not being addressed by the governor or the legislature, but I don't blame them because it hasn't been addressed by Brendan Byrne all the way through to Governor Murphy. So it's not a blame on Republicans, Democrats. We have been going down this hole, and Hillsborough's, has a really bad situation because we have a ton of land.
Right.
And when you have a ton of land, that's what they start looking at, saying you can build on there. So that's why it's important that you buy as much land as possible and sort of try to get it off the rolls to protect it so that people can't come in and try to do mass buildings.
Aside from buying as much land as possible, what can we do?
The biggest thing you can do right now, and it's an unpopular one, but I would reach out to your legislative representatives, which we are lucky in District 16. We're represented by Republicans and Democrats. I would reach out to them and say, what can you do at the legislative level to help us? I know someone, Roy Fryman, has several pieces of legislation introduced that would address some of this regarding workforce housing. So it's like the middle class housing, how that can be addressed. And Senator Bateman has a whole bunch of pieces of legislation that would sort of roll it back or slow it down. But at the end of the day, it would take an effort from the entire legislature and the governor's office to say, how do we address this and look at it holistically? Because again, the real problem is everything that happened for this round that we're in has already happened. I mean, that's what we've been discussing here. There's stuff on the agenda later. That's what it's all about. When you start going into what's going to happen in 2025, when we have to start this all over again. And then again, the real rub is that all these units are only for 30 years. So everything you've done, it's going to go away. And where's the housing going to happen next? And then you can get angry too, but why did Hillsborough get flat funded again when it comes to schools? Why did we lose money and not get more money for our schools when you know that this is going to be happening? Or why is the Transportation Trust Fund not kicking more money into the towns like Hillsborough? I mean, it's great that they're doing NJ15 and the bypass started opening, but that's only round one. Why isn't there more public transportation when you make sure you bring in different levels of income housing, including extra low? Individuals need to be able to go from A to B. It's only fair to them, but where does the funding come from?
And that's part of the question. I mean, part of the question is you bring in all these additional people and no offense, but what do we do with our schools? What do we do with our infrastructure?
They don't care.
How do we improve that? And so anyway, thank you, gentlemen, very much for your time. Thank you for your dedication to the township.
There is actually a webinar on our website that then Mayor Delcor did a question and answer to this particular question that you asked. It's about a 35-minute, very informative webinar. We had people come in from all levels of government to answer questions, and I would suggest that you'd watch that.
I will. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so that's going to end our public comment on matters not on today's agenda. I would ask for a motion to maybe jump a little bit here because we have some people in our audience that are here for some of the resolutions with families and have to drive. In particular,
Jared, I got them written down here. Do you want me
you
to?
want to,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Could I make a motion to take out on the consent agenda and vote on it now? Resolution 6, Resolution 7, Resolution 19, Resolution 20, and Resolution 23. And those would be all the new hires that we were talking about outside of the police department.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Is any comments from the dais on those resolutions? And maybe if we'll read those out. You want to read those out so that people know what they're about?
Sure.
And then this way we can then make comment
6.
for those who maybe don't have it. So
Resolution number 6 is a resolution ratifying and confirming the transfer of Harriet Fenster-Good from the position of executive assistant to the position of clerk to the treasurer and tax collector in the Hillsborough Township Finance Department. Resolution number 7 is a resolution authorizing the hiring of Yasmin Barentes Gamboa to the position of executive assistant to the mayor, administrator, and township committee. Resolution number 19 is a resolution authorizing the hiring of Jocelyn Bello to the position of Assistant Planner GIS Specialist in the Planning and Zoning Department of the Township of Hillsborough. Resolution number 20 is a resolution authorizing the hire of Susanna Karas to the position of Part-Time Property Maintenance Code Enforcement Officer. And resolution number 23 is a resolution authorizing the hiring of Frank Matai to the position of Part-Time Technology Support Person.
thank you, Ms. Borg. I know that you have some, since Mr. Ferrara is not here today, you have some comments that he wanted to make, so we'll yield to you.
Yes, okay, so I am now Anthony. Administrator Ferrero apologizes for not being here this evening as he's under the weather, but he wanted to let you all know that he is joined on YouTube and watching the meeting as we speak. So you can wave hi, Anthony. He welcomes Yasmin as executive assistant to the Administrative and Township Committee. The Hillsborough Township Floater Program is extremely important in allowing employees to be trained and through career development placed in appropriate positions throughout other departments. We're excited for her to join the admin team full-time at a later date. He also wanted to thank Harriet for all her hard work and contributions to the Hillsborough Township Administration Office for the past almost 3 years. And through career development, she's moving to finance, where she can use her previous experiences and hit the ground running and be an immediate asset to that team over in the finance department. Administrator Ferrero also welcomes Jocelyn and Susanna to newly created positions to better serve our community. Susanna brings a wealth of knowledge around code enforcement, while Jocelyn's experience in GIS and planning will help expand the breadth of services of the planning department. And finally, Administrator Ferrero welcomes Frank to our IT team. He brings over 20 years of experience and will be an asset to the township as well. So on behalf of Administrator Ferrera and the administration staff, thank you for being here this evening and welcome to all the new folks and the transfers.
Thank you, Anthony Pam. Any other comments from the day?
I have actually
Okay,
a
go
comment.
ahead.
So I wanted to welcome everybody. It's really nice to see all these names being added to our township staffing. And I know some of the positions we were really trying to get, I know the newly created ones for IT and was in zoning and with the GIS, right? But so I want to welcome you. Just for those of you who don't know me, I kind of started this path to this seat in that seat and never would have ever imagined being in this seat. But for the fact that starting here exposed me to so many great people, seeing how the town works. Anthony, Pam, the administration staff is so supportive. And, I think you just in a great environment and a great town. And if you're a Hillsborough resident, never want to be up here one day, maybe you can this start as your stepping stone. But, I welcome you all and it's a really great place to be. And I wish you all the best in your career here. So that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll just quickly say it's been an absolute pleasure working with Harriet. She was awesome, that part of the team. I'm sorry to see you go, but I know you're not too far away. So congratulations to you. And again, I'm sorry to see you go. And congratulations to everyone else.
Sorry, forgot that, Harriet. You're rock
Say
star.
the same.
And welcome to the others. We can never have enough Franks, so I'm glad you're.
All right, enough Franks. Yes, welcome, everybody. It's bittersweet for me to see Harriet move over, though I'm happy and Yasmin's filling and doing a great job. I'm just happy that Harriet was able to stay with us because she's an asset to Hillsborough and to all the residents here. Her caring and her enthusiasm is unwielding, and we missed her while she was away, and I'm very happy that you're back. And to the new people that are here, that are coming in, the attitude is infectious here. There's no better work environment, in my opinion, and no better people than you're sitting next to, your team leaders, your administrators, and if you have a question, they're willing to answer it, and as we are too. So welcome. I will then now open to the dais the floor for any comments on these particular consent agendas only, none of the others.
Maria Janusik, 720 East Breck Avenue, Banville, New Jersey. In regard to the transfer of Harriet, why is Harriet being transferred? First of all, Harriet was executive assistant to
Us, to the administrator, the mayor, and the executive office.
Okay, and so why is Harriet?
She
being
requested a
transferred?
transfer,
Harriet requested a transfer.
and
Okay,
is
that's
that
a shame, 'cause
the same salary? If that's your next
That's what I was
question.
going to ask. Why is she being transferred if she's getting the same salary?
It's just, that's part of the agreement, is if it's a lateral move, you keep the salary.
We like to keep our people.
Excuse me?
We like to move our teams around if they like another opportunity with the township, and she's earned that through the work that she did in the administrative office. So we'd love to give her the opportunity, and she's got background in finance, so it's a perfect fit for her.
Okay, all right. I was curious as to why she was being transferred if it's at the current salary. Harriet's a very, very nice woman. I had contact with her in the office, and I just want to say she's really very, very nice person.
Thank you. We agree.
Regarding, was it Resolution 19, hiring of Jocelyn Bello, Assistant Planner? Was normally the Assistant Planner also the zoning officer? What's happened to who's the zoning officer now?
We do not have a zoning officer right now. It's being filled by Mr. Coyce, David Coyce. Because he was the old zoning officer, so he's filling in until we hire somebody else.
So he's going to be the zoning, because I know he and Mr. Ferrero are deputy zoning officers.
So right now we are still hiring, but we still have business to do. So David Coyce used to be our zoning officer, and is handling that job until we find somebody else.
So not deputy, but he's currently holding the position of, or doing the job of the zoning officer.
He's doing Patrick's job, correct.
Okay. I don't know, what was the other number?
Number 20 and number 23.
Oh, okay, 20. Part-time property maintenance code enforcement. Is that something new, or is this a replacement of someone?
This is a new position that's being created on a part-time basis that allows someone to go on an hourly job to go do code enforcement without taking our zoning people out of the office and doing that type of work. So we are very, very lucky to have her here to assist our department and the health department and go out and do code enforcement when there are calls that we don't have to now take our directors go out to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Seeing none, motion to close and adopt.
I just need a roll call.
Just roll call. Roll call, Pam.
Committeewoman Erickson?
Yes.
Committeeman Thompson?
Yes.
Committeeman Wright?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delcor, sorry.
Frank.
Frank.
Right.
We need Frank. Yes.
Mayor Lapani?
It's been a while, huh? Yes, and congratulations to all. And I know that some of you drive far to be here, so please take this opportunity to go home. You have young children with you, and we'll let you leave us. And thank you again. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good night.
All right, so point of order, we're going to go back into the agenda as written. We have our public hearing starting of 2021-14, ordinance amending Chapter 1 General Provisions, Article 2 Penalties, and Chapter 224 Peace and Good Order, Article 1 Preservation of Public Peace and Good Order, and Article 2 Disorderly Persons in the Code of Township of Hillsborough, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. This ordinance is the amendment to bring in line various provisions that were outdated in this chapter of our code. May I have a motion to open to the public hearing of ordinance 2021-14?
So moved, Mayor.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Any discussion from the dais? Any comments from the floor on 2021-14? Seeing none, roll call, please.
It's a,
Can I have a motion to close?
Oh, motion, I'm
and
sorry.
adopt.
Motion to close?
I'll make that
And
motion.
adopt.
And adopt.
And adopt.
Thank you. We have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Committeewoman Erickson.
Yes.
Committeeman Thompson.
Yes.
Committeeman Wright.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delacorte.
Yes.
Mayor LaPlante.
Yes. 2021-15 bond ordinance providing the acquisition of property by the Township of Hillsborough, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, appropriating $14.1 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of a $13.395 million bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. May I have a motion to open to the public hearing on ordinance 2021-15?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any discussions from the dais?
I'll just quickly say that this, I know we're not talking about I'll hold off to the next one because this is just talking about the bond. So
I was just talking about the
the
bond.
bond makes sense.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the floor? Go ahead.
Susan Gullo, Fort Hunt Club Road.
Hello, Susan.
Hi there. You have a whole bunch of new people for me to break in now, right? Yeah.
I'm sure you'll do a fine job.
15 and 16 are kind of intertwined, so
Mhm.
I'm not sure which question is going to apply to what. First of all, is this the property referred to as the Mendel property?
Yes.
Okay. What's the purpose of the purchase? Open space, schools? Why are we buying this property?
Is particularly advantageous. The land is 450 acres of land that would be on our rolls for consideration for affordable housing. And by taking it off the rolls, would then thus eliminate that. And whether we use it for open space, parks, whatever down the road, but this is really just step one of that phase.
Yeah, and I was going to hold off until we talk
Right.
about the next
She asked.
ordinance because this is just about the bond technically, but
Yeah.
if you give me some latitude, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Those who recall that in the end of 2016, that there was a power plant, end of
Genesis.
2015. Yes, a power plant that was being proposed to be built on this site. This site is extremely advantageous for any power plant or any developer like that to still come in. You have access to power plants, power lines, there's pipelines that go through there. It is a tremendous site that's still being eyed to this day by individuals who would love to build something like that. And as we know in the state of New Jersey, it's not like our need for power has been waning, it's been growing. Even with the laudable energy master plan put forth by the governor, it's not slowing down by individuals who need more power. Luckily, myself, Mayor Delcor, over that 2015-2016 period, we were to be back this proposal by this natural gas company. But that doesn't mean that the site still wasn't desired to this day. So essentially, if the easiest way to explain this is we stopped the power plant from coming in, and this is continuing that long-term vision. I think we approached the Mendel property in 2015 and 16, and I know our open space committee has approached them for years now trying to purchase this piece of property, and we've just gotten extremely lucky that the Mendels have decided to sell this property to us so that way we can protect this area.
Okay. Is there any way we can protect it further by maybe getting some of the financing through Green Acres at the state level, which would make it harder for it to come into play for a
That's-
developer?
That we could do
That's always
that.
possible.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to do is to buy the lot first and then take any monies and segregate to the second part. So,
Okay.
because
With
you have
Gen-
to, we have to subdivide it first.
With Genesis, one of the problems was the amount of wetlands on there, wasn't it?
There's some.
Yes and no.
Seems like I
Not where
remember-
they wanted to build. They had plenty of room.
Oh, okay.
There's plenty of room on this property for them to develop. They had identified 3 locations, if I recall.
CDZ zoning is 100 acres and there's lots there that they comment.
They were ready to go. It was, again, I can't stress enough for the township committee then. We fought vigorously against it and prevented it.
Okay, then again, having something that's intertwined with this, Resolution 25 on that Pannoni Associates, that's also for the Mendel property, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. The results of the assessment that we are now, that you're authorizing this evening, would the results possibly affect Hillsborough's purchase, the price of the property, if something is found on there that's a problem? I mean, this 14 million isn't set in stone until all the diligence is done, right?
Well,
This
yeah,
is-
as in any large purchase like this, if you're purchasing land, part of the contract that we prepared, there's a contingency in it. And the contingency is us doing an environmental assessment of the property. We want to make sure that there's no environmental contamination on the property. So if that environmental assessment turns out to be, we find things that we didn't know about, then yeah, we could cancel the contract or something might happen at that point in time.
This
But
would be like,
so it's
this is your home inspection, so to speak.
You know what? I couldn't have put, I should have put it like
Hey,
that.
I've done 2,000
Yeah.
of those contracts.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
It's
for
your
a
turn of review
homeowner,
period.
it's like, yeah, it's for a homeowner, it's like you doing your home
This
inspection.
is basically getting like pre-approved for the contract.
Yeah.
This is basically getting the bond in order that if everything should be good, we are ready to go and purchase the property.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Meryl Bisberg for Hickory Hill Road. Can you just repeat what the specific purpose is of the purchase?
Sure, we're protecting land, and we have a spot of land that has come up for sale. And as I'm sure everyone in Hillsborough knows, is that there is a strong desire by developers to purchase as much land as possible to build here in Hillsborough. Any opportunity that we can to prevent it, we're going to take that opportunity. I mean, again, I can't stress this enough. Our open space committee sends letters out constantly to individuals saying, can we purchase this property? And the Mendel property, I know Chairwoman Chicky Haynes had reached out to them. I remember back to 2012, her reaching out when I was a liaison to the committee. So this has been long sought after. And again, the stress I think the township committee went through from that December of 2015 through mid-January to February of the idea that someone would try to build a power plant here in Hillsborough. It was untenable. That we can't ever allow that to happen again. So just the idea that that can never happen alone makes me very eager to vote for this. It would have changed the landscape of Hillsborough as we know it forever. And I
That
think
part of
this is
town, for sure.
this is just a great opportunity.
The issue for us is, as noted, the opportunity has now presented itself. We've been very interested in this property for a long time for a number of reasons, but mainly because it is very conducive to building because of the access to pipelines. So we want to get it so that developers can. And the opportunity now where the owners have finally come to us with an opportunity to purchase it, it will allow us to
Be in control of the property.
to keep control of the development. That's an excellent way of putting it, Mayor. Keep control of the development where we get to dictate ultimately what might happen there, as opposed to some developer. And to give a scope of what we're talking about here, it's about 450 acres. We have no other similar parcels that are left essentially to purchase of that magnitude. So this is one that we'd like to get off the rolls, not let it be part of the next plan as Mr. Thompson noted before. in 2025, we're going to be doing another round of affordable housing. And if this is not available for development, that's a whole lot less affordable housing that would be needed to be built. So this is long-term planning for us. This is something that makes complete sense for us to do. It's very similar to the GSA properties in that we get those big developable parcels off the rolls, and we control ultimately what happens from as a municipality standpoint, as opposed to a developer. Whether it's going to be park or something else down the road, that'll be determined. But for now, we need to do the bonding because we can't purchase this solely from open space funds, and so it makes no sense for us to do a partial bond. We'll bond it fully and then determine later on. And if it's going to be open space, we can always use open space funds later.
But I guess my question is, if it was designated, you said there was a lot of attempts to purchase it for open space. We do have quite a bit of open space funds.
No, we don't.
Not 15 million, 14
We
million.
have about 7 million left, and we have other properties that we're in line to purchase.
But
look
for
at.
that reason alone, just because there isn't enough money in open space, we couldn't purchase it under open space.
Well,
and
first of
bond
all,
for the-
there
and bond
are
for the rest like
there are
we're doing here.
there are wetlands on this property. There's no sense using open space money on land that can never be developed anyway, right? So the plan, Merrill, is to buy the property, do the assessment that we did with Pannoni and everything, determine what's there. You know, we did our due diligence as far as having an appraisal done. And then we can subdivide off what we need and then put our open space money on land that deserves to be preserved as open space, because wetlands, why waste your money there that can't be built on anyway?
Okay, but
So it's,
Mr. Delcar was saying that they want to keep it from developers because they built.
Well, you
on it.
can't
You're
build on
saying it can't
wetlands
be
anyway.
developed anyway. So
No,
that's-
the portion of it can't be.
I'd say we want to keep it for developers. We're going to keep it from developers.
That's right. That's what
There's
I'm-
three, if what I remember, there are three large swaths of land within this 400 acres, 400 plus acres, that are prime for development. There's wetlands in other areas, but there's three big areas within this land that a developer could come in and build a very big project on. Think warehouses. I mean, that's what's going on throughout the entire state of New Jersey, how is warehouse sprawl, right? That's like the new thing that Star Ledger writes about every other day. This property would be very advantageous for that as well. Like it's access to get out to 287 and stuff,
And
they'd be big on that.
they wouldn't need a
So-
variance. It's zone CDZ. They can come in tomorrow and build it.
Yeah.
But are you also saying that you don't want to build warehouses?
No one wants warehouses.
Okay.
No one wants housing.
It's just-
No one wants warehouses.
This is step one to get this particular ordinance. Everybody's kind of getting lost in the weeds. All this is allows us to have our money in line to, if things should go well, and we hope they do, we can buy the property. The next two ordinances will kind of address, if you want to, that those questions. Maybe we should just table that to the next ones. If we have, maybe we can answer some of those.
And just like we did in the past, we're going to go out to every single agency from the state down to try to get additional monies for us to be able to purchase
Yeah,
this property as
the
well.
county actually did a study in 2017 and eyed this property as ideal for purchase to save. And actually, you can get that from the county, from the Parks and Rec Department.
I'm only just to understand it. It said in the ordinance there was a public purpose, but it didn't describe what that was, and that's why many of us have questions.
Thank you.
All right, in this ordinance, it states that 705,000 is coming from a capital improvement fund.
750,000, yes.
Oh, 750,000?
Yes, you have to
Okay,
put some cash down.
I understand that, but what's the specific capital improvement that those funds provide, and what is not going to be done? We just passed the budget in June, and the capital improvement
So
fund is
this,
pretty much out.
basically, you have to put some money cash down. That's all it is. It's just that's why the bond is 4.1, because that covers some legal fees, but we're paying 750,000 of that in cash, so that you're actually issuing a 3.395 bond.
It's a 5% down payment,
Right.
and that can come out of capital. It's not for
Okay.
capital improvements. It's just for the down payment.
Okay, but it's coming from our capital improvement fund in our budget. So my question is, what's not getting done that was allocated for capital improvement? Like,
There's nothing being lost currently. We had extra money in the capital improvement fund.
okay, you did have like $800,000 or $900,000 of projects budgeted.
That's a different,
Yeah.
that's a different.
But this is basically funds that have accumulated over time that are available there. We didn't reduce any other projects that were already in process.
Okay, so that is coming from some kind of allocated, it's called dedicated fund or something?
No, it's from our capital improvement fund, but over time, there are projects that don't get done, that get done at lesser cost than we had allocated in the capital fund. So there's essentially, or projects that end up getting canceled, that are available for future use. And we hold them for essentially, purposes of when we
Rainy day fund.
need them, rainy day funds.
If something comes up that we need to do that possibly wasn't in the budget, so we have some cash on hand to do that.
It's money that's fully been allocated to the capital improvement fund, but for whatever, either has not been utilized, either because a project wasn't done, was less, whatever it may be.
So I don't have it in front of me, but I think there was a section 5 that said if capital improvement has already been allocated and it's going to be used for this purpose and the budget has to be updated and all that stuff, we're not doing that.
Sorry, I didn't follow you.
Do you have it in front of you? There's
I don't-
section 5 and it talks about.
I only have
using
Section
money
5,
for the
this
capital-
ordinance shall take effect upon adoption. Am I on the wrong one?
I don't know if it's in this bond
Oh, it's
ordinance.
reading-
I think it's in the bond ordinance.
It's reading the next ordinance.
I can get it. It's to ensure that if you're using money from your capital improvement fund, that your budget reflects where the money
Yes,
is.
the money's, absolutely, I don't go through the budget, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yes, and it's already been approved within past budgets. It's just funds that are now available that can be done for other projects going forward. It's money that's been fully allocated in past budgets.
Yeah, the section you talk about, if for some reason it's inconsistent with what we had already allocated for, you have to just submit it to the local government's unit of the state. That's standard when you make changes to your
So
budget.
that's going to be done.
If
If it
it's not,
needs to
if
be.
it's inconsistent.
Yes.
Okay. It just seems to me you have to go back to some budget year, some pot of money to utilize that and not utilize what was just passed in the budget for the current year for capital improvement. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So in your mind, the property is developable.
No,
Absolutely.
it's not my mind. It's the fact that it's being sought after by developers. There are large swaths of land. I'd say over half probably.
There have been
That would be-
applications pending for this property with the Mendel's when we were talking with them years ago about what potential things they were looking to do there. And most of them were large scale.
Okay.
I would venture that not all 450 acres are developable, but large portions of it, absolutely.
On top of that, we have a $22 million bond, or I don't know, for the GSA Depot property. So are we paying any of that back yet? I'm asking, okay, so this, I mean, if we start paying that back and then we start paying this back too, it's going to be a pretty big nut, right?
Some of the bond has been deferred, and Franklin probably can answer better, but to next year for the GSA, because we're allowed to do that. The insurance, the rates right now, the cost of money is cheap, but you still have to pay it back. When this is purchased, whether we use some funds from the county or from the state or Green Acres or whatever, can go towards that bond directly and reduce that payment. But if we would need to buy it up front and then divide at that point is what was required.
So our current debt service is pretty much reflecting our roads and not much else right now.
There's really
That's
no
pretty
other.
much all we have.
That's it. That one bond that we're doing for the roads, that's it.
All right, I just feel like the purpose could be stated in the ordinance and.
Well, this
I feel like
ordinance
it's-
is strictly just for the purchase to issue the bond. It really has maybe the
I know,
other
but
two
it's
where.
taxpayers' money.
No, but
Yeah,
the ordinance.
that's all I'm
said-
saying.
Okay.
And so, I feel like they deserve to know what it's
We're
gonna be used for,
fully
so.
able to discuss it. And, Jeffrey is.
Yeah, we're
been
ensuring.
in all the meetings with us and he was in favor of it when we made the motion to do this because it's an opportunity. Everybody's like talking about stop the building in town, right? Control the construction in town. This is a step to do what the people are asking, to control the construction in town. So to do that, there are costs, Merrill. You can't stop construction in town and buy land and have to worry about fact that we're spending money. This money is prudent and a wise purchase to stem all the construction in town and the affordable housing that we had a young lady up here ask how we do to stop it. This is what we do to stop it.
Well, we could also probably build more all affordable housing too. But
If
that's
you could
another-
find somebody that would do that,
Yeah.
go find
And
it.
I was going to ask, like.
If you can find a builder that will do that,
then
then go, let me know who they are.
If you want to build it, we'll find you a
That's
piece of
right.
land.
That's it.
You
It's a
build
two-way
600.
street, Merrill. We can't ask somebody to build something that they don't want to build.
But I'm also glad that you're coming on with joining us in our fiscal conservatism, that making sure we take care of taxpayer money. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Merrill.
Thank you.
Maria Janusik, 720 East Trek Avenue, Manville, New Jersey. So what's being stated here is that you're buying this land so that you can protect it from developers. But yet this ordinance doesn't say anything at what the actual purpose is. So
This
something can be
ordinance is
said
strict.
here.
All that this ordinance is about is appropriating to do the bond. This is a very specific ordinance. All it is about is approving for the bond. The 2021-16 and possibly the one after would be maybe more to what you're, but this particular ordinance is very specific to doing a bond. That's all it's for. Okay?
The improvement described in section 3 of this bond ordinance is hereby authorized, the improvement. So what is the improvement that you're specifying in this ordinance?
It says bond ordinance providing the acquisition of property in and by the Township of Hillsborough, County of Somerset, appropriating $14.1 million, therefore, and authorizing issuance of a bond and notes the township to finance part of the cost thereof. That's all it's about, just buying the property. Has nothing to do with what the use is. This particular ordinance is about.
Exactly, so
Is
it
all
says-
is about is basically getting pre-approved to buy the property. That's
Right.
all it's about.
Right, so this is saying that you want to issue $13,395,000 in bonds to
A
get
bonds,
to-
yes.
to purchase and land for an improvement. So it's not stating what the improvement is.
The improvement is a quality of life.
Purchase.
It's a quality of life improvement, number one. There was literally a power plant that was going to be built on there. I'm looking,
Thank you.
Maria, again.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm glad we can do this time. There was literally a power plant that was going to be built there. The quality of life in Hillsborough would have gone down detrimentally if this was allowed to go forward. The amount of kids that would have had asthma because of a new power plant in town would have gone up exponentially. These are all not just pie in the sky things. These are things that were going to happen. This was all going to happen. So this ordinance as an improvement, that's just a phrase that they use in law, but this purchase absolutely makes Hillsborough a better place and protects Hillsborough for generations to come. Especially, again, I can't stress this enough, how close Hillsborough was to having a power plant being built in town. This ensures that never happens here in Hillsborough. It ensures that giant warehouses, like you see Amazon building up and down the state of New Jersey right now, not just Amazon, shouldn't pick on them, but warehouses across the state are being built. Logistics, thank you, being built. This makes Hillsborough a better place by protecting this spot from development, period.
And just to be clear, it says in section 3A, the improvement hereby authorized is the acquisition of property located at Hamilton Road and Amwell Road. So
Okay, so the improvement, it doesn't state why you're buying this improvement.
Okay, I'm going to state one more time.
So
Mayor.
that is left open to interpretation, and anyone can say,
Well, this
this is what we're going to use it for.
That's not true
If you want to
either,
specify-
because if there's ever a court
if you want
case,
to
God forbid, if there's
specify-
ever a court case, the first thing that would happen is they go to the transcripts from the hearing. At the state legislative level, whenever there's a court case challenging a law or something like that, they go to legislative intent. The legislative intent, which is spelled out either in the bill comments or in the public comments that are made. In these public comments, I think I've heard maybe from me and everyone else up here almost, is that we are pushing this to make sure that development doesn't happen here in Hillsborough, that we're protecting this land to stop warehouses and a natural gas power plant, which was going to be built and still being talked about once in a while on this property. That's the reason for the purchase,
So if that is the intent of the purchase, why can't that be written in the ordinance?
to say we're
That
not,
this
we're
is
stopping a power plant.
The intent is to prevent any kind of detrimental, like the power plant that everybody was terrified of, that should not be something that can be considered. Because right now, you're buying land and anything can be built. Anything can be built.
You're right, but you know what, and you are correct. And at some point, that will be addressed when we can figure out ultimately what, how we're gonna long-term fund this and what the best purpose was after we do some of the work that we need to do. However, recall, the reason we're in the situation we are now with our affordable housing projects is because we have developers or landowners that have come to the courts because we're a court town, and they said, I can help Hillsborough with their affordable housing problem because I have land that's ready to be built. And those are all the interveners that we had to deal with in our affordable housing project. The fact that this is now owned by, or will be owned by us and not some landowner, means they can't then come to the courts and say, I have 450 acres that I want to be able to build affordable housing on. So, Mr. Judge, please let me build them in Hillsborough. That's why we're buying the property.
But that should be stated in the ordinance. That should be stated in the ordinance.
You're
That there are going to be
entitled to your opinion,
stipulations.
but that's not the way it works, but that's okay.
Okay. How much actually does Hillsborough have right now in issued bonds? How much is owed?
We have, because we are so fiscally conservative and we have an excellent fiscal record, we don't know what our bond capacity is, but it's significantly higher than this number.
Okay, but how much so far has, there were other purchases that were done through the issuance of bonds. How much is all of that?
We had 8 million for the road project, roughly. And then we have the bond that's on
For the
for the GSA, and that's it.
The GSA is how much?
27,
How much?
20,
It was originally 18.
20,000, 20 million, roughly, ballpark.
It was originally 18, got to 20.
20
20
million.
million GSA,
And 8 million
8
for the roads.
million for what?
The roads.
The roads. And then this would be another
14.
close to 14 million.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's a lot of money for the
Well,
town to have to worry about. And mention was being made of the sum of 750,000 as down payment. It's showing here as 705,000.
okay,
which is
whatever,
correct.
number,
It's
705, whatever is on the
What is in
sheet.
here is correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. May I have a motion to close public and adopt 21-21-15?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah. You can answer the next question on the next one, Merrill. I mean, it's all,
Is it about the bond or is it about the property?
that's the
Second
next
bite.
one.
I need a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Anderson.
Yes.
Committeeman Thompson.
Yes.
Committeeman Wright.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delcor.
Yes.
Mayor LaHoney.
Yes. 2021-16, an ordinance authorizing the Township of Hillsborough to purchase a property identified in the Hillsborough tax maps as Block 198, Lot 2, Block 198.02, Lot 101, 1.01, excuse me, Block 199.02, Lot 1, and Block 198.01, Lot 1, located at Hamilton Road and Amel Road, Hillsborough, New Jersey. Transfer of the property is effectuated through the adoption of ordinance 423 acres. May I have a motion to open to public hearing ordinance 2021-16?
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Any opposed? Or all in favor? I said aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? And I don't think there's any discussion for the desk. I think we've all been talking about it already, but anyone else like to say anything?
Couldn't be happier moving forward with
All
this.
right. Okay, comments from the floor?
Rabies, 43 Hillsborough.
Take your mask off, please. Thank you.
And I guess my question is this, and is it possible, since typically with fair share housing, when you have a nonprofit developer, it's, you provide the land, or you can provide the land. What would keep fair share housing from requiring us to count that land with even though we own it, or the township owns it, as part of the inventory of land for fair share housing.
Because it's not publicly, it's not owned by a
Well,
public entity. Meaning it's not owned by a private entity. But it's owned by the township, it comes off the rolls.
They can make their attempts, as they always do, as they counted highway medians, if you remember correctly, that they counted the patch of land in between highways towards their total numbers. But that's why we have our team to argue against it, why it shouldn't be included. But again, and I can't stress this enough, as Deputy Mayor Delcourt and Mayor LaPanny talked about, this is step one in the process of purchasing it. Once we identify the wetlands and everything like that, which wetlands typically should not be included in the numbers fair share uses, but sometimes they use them anyway. That's where we can decide how we're going to parcel off and purchase the areas, maybe with open space funds, to ensure that this could never be used for those purposes. I will bluntly say, I won't support any affordable housing being built on this property. That's what I'm saying now, but that's why we have to go through, identify, that's later on with Peroni, to look at where on here is the wetlands, and then take it from there. But you're not incorrect that they could make the argument. And as you know, they'll argue for anything. They wanted 2,000 affordable housing units in Hillsborough, so they certainly make their arguments.
Well, you said you won't support affordable housing, or you didn't say you won't support housing.
I won't support regular housing, all right, Meryl?
Yeah.
Come on.
So, and I just.
Any housing.
I hope you agree with us. I hope you can say the words that you agree with us, that this is a good purchase to protect.
I'll say it bluntly too. I will not support any residential development on this property.
Do you want to say something, Counselor?
I would just like to say, I think both you and Ms. Janasek raised an interesting point. You wanted to know what's the public purpose for this. I understand that. I think that's a good question. And I think it has been stated from the dais. What happened was, as they've indicated, there was a power plant that wanted to come there. They were against it. They fought it. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a property that they've been trying to acquire became available. So now they're acting fast on it. Let's try to get this property. Let's try to purchase this property. They haven't identified an exact public purpose. The public purpose is, if they acquire it, then they determine what gets put there. That means they determine whether or not a power plant gets put there. So they can say, no, you're not putting a power plant there. They determine whether or not a warehouse goes there. If they don't want a warehouse there, now a warehouse can't go there. Also, they determine, not a builder determines, whether or not it's affordable housing site. Because if ABC Corporation owns it and they want to put an inclusionary development there, I assure you, in your next round, that will be an inclusionary development site. But ABC Corporation won't own it. The township will own it. So the public purpose here is they haven't identified whether it's going to be open space, a park, or what they're going to put there. And maybe it will be some kind of development, but they're acting on the opportunity now, so they make the ultimate decision. And that's what it really comes down to. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. It's a $14 million purchase to say, hey, we're going to control what goes onto this property. It's 400 acres. It means a lot to the township. We're going to decide what goes there.
I don't want to speak for you. You may not feel that, we're the right ones to make that decision. I would rather have this group of 5 people figuring out ultimately what to do with that property than an intervener running to down to Somerville and saying, hey, I can build affordable housing there. And I think my belief is that every resident in this town would rather have that rest here than with the developer and subject to the affordable housing in the courts. But that's just me.
I want to say that I think purchasing property, because there are many other tracts in Hillsborough. I know
Not
this is
this
a
big,
large.
this
big magnitude.
No, there's nothing this large, but it's not large enough for, because of all the wetlands, it's not, and not the
Oh, there
appropriate
is.
place for school or anything like that.
There
Yeah,
is.
it absolutely could be. This land has at least 108 developer. I just pulled up the original map that Genesis had sent 2015, and there was more than enough land for them to
Yeah,
build an
there's half
entire
of it's
power
developed.
plant on there. So if there's a room for a power plant, I can assure you there's enough room to build affordable housing and everything else that developers dream about on a property like this. More than enough land.
Okay.
I mean, pull the plans from
So
back in
you're saying school is-
2014.
You're saying school is a possibility?
Well, I'm not saying, no, I'm saying that there's enough land
That's
on
public
here.
purpose, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yes, but the schools don't own it, we own it. They're a separate entity. as
They
you
would
know.
have to go through a bond to buy it from us and be approved by you.
But the,
You being the voter.
there's, yeah.
So they can't just write a check. They got to go to a bond to say, we want to buy land to put XYZ school up, whether we do it or whether we'd like to do it or not. And if the voters say no, then they can't buy it.
I don't know if it's big enough for a high school because that would require a lot more land. That's a different animal than being like an elementary school which doesn't have a football field and all the niceties that get right into when there's a new school built. I think the original plan the last school board had was there was like a little golf course on the original plan for
Yeah, I like
the last
golf.
one.
I like golf.
So that was a while ago though.
Well, I think the place where I disagree is I don't think avoiding affordable housing and avoiding development is necessarily a good public purpose. And I just feel like if you
I'm
were
sorry, you
clear
think we
about
should
the
have more
public
affordable
purpose-
housing built here?
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
I
the
You
just-
way
said it was a bad reason.
Look, maybe if we had kept the GSA Depot property, we could have done our affordable housing there and not have all these developments all around town.
There were going to be
just-
thousands of units built on
Yeah.
that development.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's what the whole.
No, because we own
No,
the land.
we're-
We own the land, right?
That is
So-
inaccurate. That is completely inaccurate. The Patel property, which is part of the land that you were just mentioning, were literally Hillsborough properties. There was going to be thousands of units built there. Thousands of units.
Yes.
The purchase of that property stopped that. I mean, Toll Brothers was coming in and, if you remember, Mayor Bob
We're
Wagner
building
got,
thousands of units now.
but we would have had thousands more. Don't you, how could we forget the fact that, you could shake your head, but in 2005-06, when was Committeeman Drake on here, or Commissioner Drake now, on the dais? When he was on the dais, and that whole property was going through, okay, there was literally plans for thousands of units to be built there. That was going to happen. And if that happened, there was no affordable housing being built on that property at the time. So what that have done, that would have triggered at the time, build 4 units, you have to build 1 affordable housing unit. So if they got their 1,000, there's 250 more units that would have been required to be built on that land. So you can't sit there and say that purchasing that property doesn't stop the building of more affordable housing units. It 100% did, 100%. You can't make that argument. It would be false to say something like that. And so you understand affordable housing to some extent, so you cannot say that with a straight face. That would just be
If you're going to
inaccurate.
allow a developer to build all, for market rate housing, no, but I think there are ways on a major piece of land like that we could have built, owning it, we could have built the affordable housing. that
So
we
you'd rather,
built.
you want to
That's
build
what-
more homes. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, I think the flaw in your logic there, to be honest with you, is that you're under the assumption that if we only built at the GSA, that would have been the extent of it. And the problem is, if that property was available for development, the numbers that we were able to negotiate with fair share housing would have been
That much
exponentially higher.
Yeah, it's not an elimination.
That's the problem, because they would have said, well, you can take on more because you have more land to build on. And the fact that it became open space rather than staying with the developer, by any measure, reduced our market and affordable by thousands. Thousands. I mean, it's not.
I think the key that we're talking about is market plus affordable rent, which is
Yeah.
affordable. That's.
Yes, and we should all go to the legislature and say, let's redo the way we do affordable housing in the state. Republicans and Democrats should all be behind that. There's been a failure of governors, like I said, back from 1970 on, that we never addressed this, and it's a shame, because towns like Hillsborough, South Brunswick, Montgomery, Princeton, just to name a few in our area, or in Branchburg, are just getting beat up because of it, and it's a shame. Absolutely a shame.
Thank you, Merrill. Anyone else?
I aged.
You stiff? You stretch it out.
Thanks for that memory down.
Raise that mic up.
Name and address for the
Steve
record.
Cohen, 60 Oak Terrace. That was funny, reminding me about the medians, and she reminded me about the retention ponds. Oh my God, remember that? Oh, that was crazy. Anyway, regarding this particular purchase, I'd just like to address that I think this is a no-brainer. It's a miracle. Every time I drive down Amwell Road, past that property on Saturday mornings to deliver my mother her groceries, I think it's a miracle it's still there. We dodged a cannon fire with the our plan. And there's no way I don't understand anybody coming up here and starting a fight with the town committee over an issue that is an absolute no-brainer. It's cheap money. It costs nearly zilch percentage-wise out of our total annual budget. I think it's great. Good luck.
Thank you. And one more kick at the can. Okay, Ms. Janusik.
Maria Janusik. So I was listening to the responses that were given to Merrill Bisberg. And you say by owning that property, and it has wetlands on it, there's no chance that there can be a developer wanting to develop on there. And yet you've got the Sherman property that was owned by the township, that's got wetlands on it. So how come you sold that to a developer for $1?
That's not true. That's not what we said. What we said was there are substantial wetlands on the property that would not be built, so we would not use the open space money on that particular part, but there are hundreds of available acres to build on immediately that would not require any sort of a variance from the planning board. The Sherman tract, the same thing. The land is there. They have to build around where there's wetlands. There's wetlands at every property you develop in the state. There are wetlands everywhere. What becomes the viable value of the property is how many buildable acres are in a zone. Subtract those that you cannot build on, i.e. wetlands or buffers or whatever, and what's left on that envelope to build. And there are hundreds of acres available to develop on this site.
And Mayor, I think something just important to add is that as of right now, we have coverage from the courts and protection that we're not going to get sued by any more interveners for this current round. And I can assure you by the time 2025 gets around, we will have everything ensured that a group like Fair Share or anyone else couldn't dictate our lives on a property like this. That's the difference. We own this Sherman property as a way, as Mara was pointing out earlier, about building all the affordable housing in one place, right? That was part of the goal, is to push as many to that spot as possible. I can assure you we're going to have this addressed by then.
Excuse me. So yeah, you're saying that you can assure that what? I didn't catch everything.
So by 2025 is the next round for affordable housing, okay? Currently, we're protected as long as we have all of our ordinances done, right, for the properties around town that the interveners have came forward and said, I want to build on X, Y, and Z properties here in town, where the developers raised their hand and said, we'll be gracious to help Hillsborough. We will have this land protected in some manner by 2025. So that way they can't do what they did this round.
Okay, so.
And let's hope the legislature and everyone else figures out affordable housing by then.
Yeah, we got 3 years.
Okay.
Actually, why, all right, this is not the topic, so, but my question would be, how did this Fair Share Housing Center get all of this power where everybody quakes?
Mayor, hold on, we've talked about that one. You and I share the hatred of why this happened, but it still happened that the courts appointed them, period. To quote our governor, period, full stop. That's the whole story.
The courts gave.
Courts gave them the power, period.
Courts. So who was the court?
Supreme Court of the state of New Jersey.
New Jersey Supreme Court.
Who was the judge?
Stuart Rabner was the.
There's a panel.
There's 7 of them.
Yeah, but Stuart Rabner is the Chief Justice, I believe, still?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
And there's 7 justices.
7 judges who gave them such power that when they come before a planning board, they can do what the developer can do whatever he wants, no matter what the variances or waivers or in this case, this ordinance from Judge Kevin Shanahan, that you can't.
There are a few times that you and I are in complete agreement.
Everything that how does a judge get that kind of power? I don't understand.
Yes, I agree with you. I don't understand it necessarily either, but they were given this power from the state. One of the reasons they were given this power in the state, as we mentioned before, is that the legislature and the governor, but this is not their current governor, this is going back to what happened from 2009 when Governor Christie was governor, and the legislature failed to reach an agreement on what to do on COA. He flat funded COA and created just chaos for everyone. And as Mr. Bernstein has talked about, we were weeks away from getting our immunity from the courts before everything was upended by the Supreme Court because there was so little in action. Why did they give all this power to Fair Share? They rose their hand and said, we are the ones that are going to advocate on behalf of the people of the state of New Jersey to ensure that everyone has a right to live in every municipality. That's what they raised their hand did, and Judge Stuart Rabner and the other justices said, cool, you
Have
can
at
do
it.
it.
And what
And
year,
that-
what year was that in?
15, 14, 15.
Right after COLA was dissolved?
It was 15. Yeah, well, yes, it wasn't dissolved necessarily. It was just not funded, which basically killed it.
So it's defunct and now the
Yes.
judges are taking over. So what is the legislature doing right now?
Nothing.
I am not in the
Nothing?
legislature.
I'm just asking you all, asking
There-
you all.
There's a ton of pieces of legislation that have been introduced, and very few of them moved forward for various reasons. And again, this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. I hate when it gets pushed into that because suburban towns exist across the state of New Jersey that are run and not run by, but are that have Democrat leadership and Republican leadership. It's anyone who tries to say that this is a one-party issue is just false and trying to score political points, and it's a shame.
It's the biggest kept secret in New Jersey that nobody pays attention to from the voting establishment of the state of New Jersey. Nobody cares until it's in their backyard. Then they come and say, how does this happen when it's been happening for 20 years?
Yeah.
If people would come up with the same passion that they do to this mic around the state to their representatives, something might happen. But until that time, I don't think anything's going to happen. That's just my opinion.
I would like to mark this milestone though, because I think we do
We-
have
we agreed on
universal,
something?
we have universal consensus.
We should agree. I love it.
For fair share housing, so I'd like to mark this in the record. I think it's an important milestone.
Okay,
Maria, you can start like this grassroots movement. It could be you, like you
You know
can
Idea.
gather
I love
the
coalition
people.
building. This is great.
Okay. All right, so ordinance 2021-16.
Yes, dear.
So it's saying that, let's see, 1, 2, 3rd, whereas, that it's to purchase this real property for public purposes. Again, it's very broad.
Well,
And
Public
so
purposes
can that
could be,
can
well,
that be
it's hard
somehow-
to determine the public purpose until after we assess the property and do the subdivision, but it could be parks, it could be open space, it could be whatever we feel is beneficial to the public of Hillsborough, decided by, as Frank said, the 5 of us versus a judge and 6 lawyers in a room in Somerville. Bottom line.
So what would you consider to be public purposes?
Us owning it's a public purpose. Just owning it in general is a public purpose. Preventing preventing a natural gas power plant from being built is a public purpose.
Stemming traffic down Hamilton Road and Amwell Road and all those, the traffic that would be brought by a bunch of houses or, a power plant,
But again, Ms. Janusik, that's a fair question as far as public purpose. And again, I think we've answered that question. The question is, it's over 400 acres. It's a substantial piece of property. And the Township Committee wants to make sure that, we control what happens on that piece of property, not some third-party developer.
But I would argue that public purpose is government purpose. I mean, it's what, it's what we do. So if we're doing it, it's naturally an offset of public purpose, right?
Another question, what is the current assessed value of this property?
it was more than what we offered. It was 16 million.
No, that was the appraisal.
The appraisal, well.
That was the appraisal.
Right.
This is farmland assessed.
Well, I think she's looking for what the value of the property was, how much it was.
We got an appraisal on this property. The appraisal we got on the property, I think, was 16 million.
A little over 16.
It was around that number. It was definitely 16. Over
16, but you said that this is currently appraised as farmland?
Well,
No,
no,
it's
it's got a farmland assessment, yes. Yeah.
So it's assessed farmland right now?
Yes, because they got a tree program. Yep. A woodland management program.
Okay, very interesting. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other people, may I have a motion to adopt and vote?
Motion to close and adopt.
Motion to close and adopt.
I'll make that motion to close and
Thank
adopt.
you.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Committeewoman Erickson?
Yes.
Committeeman Thompson?
Yes.
Committeeman Wright?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delacqua?
Yes.
Mayor LaPlante?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm also going to say this is the type of thing that we talk about working together. You have Jeff over here and the four of us we sat in a room and to a person, we all looked at this and said, it makes sense, right? It had nothing to do with anything other than it just made sense for the town. It made sense to stop what people are asking and do what people are asking for us to do. So, yes. All right. 2021-17, ordinance authorizing acceptance of deeds of dedication for widening and improvement of Falcon Road, Hillsborough Township, Somerset County, New Jersey. We have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2021-17. Jeff, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any discussion from the dais? I'll just say this essentially is part of the improvement of getting the land from the owners of the property that were on the opposite side of the development to the east. What is it? Gateway Homes. They were deeded to us as part of an agreement to widen the roads, to do improvements to make it a safer road. So that's what this is about. Any comments from the other days? Questions from the floor?
We'd like to move this forward because I think the quicker we get this done, the quicker we can improve Falcon Road.
Yep, public safety.
And just so you're aware, this is not all the dedications. This is the responsibility of the developer of the Gateway and Sunnymead project. They've gotten these particular ones. There's still some additional ones that they need to get, but at this point in time, we've received the dedications that the developer acquired.
And they're doing the improvements.
And they are responsible for improving Falcon Road.
Thank you for clarifying. I didn't mean to imply that we were doing it, but just moving the process forward. But thank you, yeah.
Okay, Maria Janusik. Okay, I didn't catch all of that exchange. Who is the developer?
The developer that's doing the improvements? Or the
Well,
developer that's doing
according to this, it says that the application number 03-PB-12-GDP was filed with the Township of Hillsborough Planning Board.
I believe we know that development is
Construction of
Gateway.
698.
Gateway at Sunnymead, I think is the call to development.
So the development is Gateway at Sunnymead. And it says here there was approval for the construction of up to 698 residential units on approximately 190 acres of land. Was this done at the initial application, or is this done over time, or how was this development of 698 residential units accomplished? And this was from 2004.
This was approved project years ago.
They're there.
They're there now.
You probably drive by. You probably driving by them all the time.
They are there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And it says on April 1, 2004, the board adopted a memorializing resolution approving the application. And the approval of the board requires the developer to widen and improve Falcon Road. So why, if that was approved back in 2004, is it taking 16 and a half years to start widening the road?
That's a great question. Another maddening thing that the state of New Jersey did, because when we had the economic downturn in 2008, these were all being built as age restricted. And this was going to be an age restricted community here in the township of Hillsborough. But in 2008, when the legislature decided in their ultimate wisdom to talk to the developers, and the developers passed legislation to say, even if it was approved as age restrictive, you automatically are granted to be regular housing units. So they were able to quickly change. Oh yeah, that's a thing. Look
That
up.
was from the New Jersey legislature?
The New Jersey legislature in
every town
2008, if you were approved and you didn't put a shovel in the ground yet, you could switch age restricted to regular units. That was 2008 or 9. It was done by him. So look it up. That's a fascinating one. But at least this project, they said we'd keep at least partially age restricted, which kept down the amount of children that will be entering our public schools.
So right now, how many units are there currently in this place? 698 or more or less?
I think it's about 698. I don't remember the exact number.
I don't know how many units been constructed over there, but they are getting to the last phase. I believe and that's why it's becoming more and more important for them to get all the required deeds of dedication and get Falcon Road constructed.
Is any part of this affordable housing?
Oh, yeah.
So they got.
I think they're at the 29% set aside, maybe 28, somewhere in there. I know they're
And so
higher.
that they also got the tax exemptions?
No.
I don't know. Not this
They're
project.
not,
Nothing
it's a,
Tax
so they
exemption for
do,
affordable housing?
there's no tax exemption.
No, that's usually with the 100% affordable projects, not an inclusionary development.
So for an inclusionary, there is no tax exemption or tax abatement?
There can be, but there's none on this property.
Not on this property? Okay, so now, in regard to to these deeds, who obtained these, the developer or the township?
The developer obtained them on behalf of the township. So now it's township right away. So the township essentially acquired additional right away along Falcon Road.
So the developer got it from, privately obtained this from every property owner?
From each one of those property owners, yes, ma'am.
Well, so why did the developer have to do that if this is going to be a township road? Why did the township?
It was part of the approval.
Part of it is to do the improvements on the road as based on the traffic that would be generated by the project.
And to save the taxpayers' money, we don't want to go and buy these deeds from this portion from each of the landowners. The developer's responsible for that, and then they turn it over so we can widen the road. It's part of the project.
So what was?
So essentially, Maria, the road's being fixed, repaired, improved at the cost of the developer, cost of township, nothing, and in a nutshell.
All right, so it's going to be widened. So what side of the road is this property?
Both sides will be equal.
You're taking property from property owners on both sides of the road?
Yes.
I believe so. I mean, there's easements, and I'd have to look at the map in general, and possibly our attorney has seen it. I have not, but.
Yeah, only in those areas where additional right of way was required. Some areas we had the sufficient right of way, but in areas where we didn't have sufficient right of way, the developer has been responsible for obtaining that additional right of way. And in this particular case, we have those that are indicated right here in the ordinance, 5 different properties.
So with these properties, you'll be able to now widen that road because you got this and then whatever else you were saying, some kind of right of ways?
There are additional deeds of dedication that the developer still has to obtain so we can complete the entire project.
This is step 1.
Okay, all right, so why do you do step 1 instead of getting it all at one time?
Because he can start.
Because not all people are cooperative in getting the deeds of dedication, so the developer has run into some snags with some people, but we got these, so we're getting them recorded now.
All right, so because it was done by the developer, but for the township, is why you as the township attorney have to have the deeds recorded?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We haven't seen much of public today, so it's, I'm glad you're still awake.
Susan Gullo, Fort Hunt Club Road. When Gateway was being passed, I remember there was a lot of discussion about the traffic that would be generated. And there was consideration of whether a traffic light was needed at Falcon and Sunnymead. It was put off at that time. I think there was a certain percentage or certain number of COs that this would be approached again or restudied. Is this traffic light included, or are we redoing the study at this point, or is this nothing to do with the possibility of a traffic light?
I believe the traffic light is still part of the package that is still mandated at the intersection of Falcon and Sunnymead.
So it is
It's
not, it is part of.
It's still a requirement, whether it's when it's being built as opposed to this time, but it's still part of the requirement.
But it's not part, I'm sorry, it's not part of this ordinance, a traffic light?
No,
Okay.
no, this is just to accept additional dedications of right of way. Yeah, just to get the additional land that the right of way for expansion of Falcon Road.
Okay, I thought maybe we had reached that point, having sat through traffic at that corner several times and jumped out to get onto Sunnymead.
Hopefully we're close.
Yeah, if we had reached that point. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, motion to close and adopt.
I make a motion to close on that.
Thank you, Jay. Second. Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, I missed the second.
Thank
you.
Mr.
Last
Delcor.
one, I can't hear.
Was not
Committee
one.
Woman Anderson.
That wasn't me.
Yes. Committeeman Thompson.
Yes.
Committeeman Wright.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delcor.
Yes.
Mayor LaPlante.
Yes. All right, so we have 2 introduction of new ordinances, 2021-14, ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Provisions, Article 2, penalties, and Chapters 2024, Peace and Good Order, Preservation.
No,
No.
sorry, next one.
Next one?
Yeah, 20.
Salary range.
All right, sorry, my bad. 2021-18, ordinance to amend the ordinance entitled Salary Range Ordinance, setting forth the salary ranges for classification set forth in said ordinance. Further consideration of this ordinance, public hearing will be held on September 14th, 2021. May a motion to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Councilman Days? Roll call.
Committeewoman Erickson?
Yes.
Committeeman Thompson?
Yes.
Committeeman Wright?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delacorte?
Yes.
Mayor LaFrentine?
Yes. 2021-19, ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement ordinance number 2020-08, which is an ordinance of the Township of Hillsborough, amending Chapter 188, Land Use and Development, Article 5, District and Standards, Section 188-98, RA, RS, R, R1, R2, CRAH, RCA, PD, residential districts by adding an R8 zone to apply to block lots 182, lot 9, 101.01, and 46.01. Bless you. And block 183, lot 38.02 by further amending, revising, and supplementing schedule for residential zones. Squiggly S 188, whatever that means, attachment 2. As to a maximum impervious surface percent in the RA 8 zone. Further consideration of this ordinance in public hearing will be held on September 14th, 2021. A motion to introduce the ordinance.
Mayor, for the future, that's a section sign.
Section, thank you.
Section.
Squiggly S is a section?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
so just section 188.
Section 188.
Yep.
I don't know if it was a typo. I learned something today. It's a good learn. We have a motion to introduce.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Councilman Days? None? Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Erickson?
Yes.
Committeeman Thompson?
Yes.
Deputy Committeeman. Sorry, I marveled. Committeeman Wright?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delacorte?
Yes.
Yes, it's 10:15. We're all getting tired. All right, so we are left with the consent agenda,
But minus those other.
but minus the ones previously voted on, which were 6, 7, 19, 20, and 23. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second, any comments from dais on any of the, on the, what's here? Okay, comments from the floor. All right, public first. Should have just stayed there.
Susan Gullo, Fort Hunt Club Road. I have a question on consent number 10, the abatement of violations on vacant and abandoned properties. I know we have, is it Susanna Karras was just hired as our new enforcement. Is she the person when it refers to enforcement officer is responsible? Will she be the person? Okay, so if anybody has a problem, they used to call the health department.
That's where she'll be with Mike. Under Mike.
Okay, so they should call there. Now, I noticed that I was surprised to see it refers to specific properties only. Every time we want to take action against a property, we would have to have another ordinance
For to what?
under the,
So what did you-
whereas it's Three Bridges Road, Valley Road, Arthur Road. So let's say we wanted to do the one on the infamous Woods Road one with the orange Volkswagen. Would we have to have,
These are liens, though.
oh, okay,
Oh.
these are liens
Yeah, this resolution authorizes to clean up the property and to lien them.
and the lien
And lien them.
against.
So it's not an ordinance, but every time they do this, they are supposed to come to the township committee, and the township
And
committee is
we are
supposed to
gonna-
adopt a resolution saying, yes, clean up this property and lien it.
Okay, okay, it just seemed odd that for each time we want to take an action, a lien, I'm sorry, it's not just the
Well, a
cleanup.
lien is very legal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a fine. It's we take precedent when the property is sold.
Yeah, I've
So it's a big
paid
deal.
off a number of those for clients. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Maria Janusik. Consent number 3,
Mhm.
resolution awarding contract for 2021 sidewalk and curbing replacement, amount not to exceed 75,000. Which sidewalks and curbs are we talking about for this amount?
We do continual sidewalk repairs and improvements as required, and this is basically just a contract that is bulk for repairs. So the engineering company determines that there's a sidewalk in need of repair somewhere. This is the authorized contractor for the year.
Okay, so it's an not to exceed amount, but it could wind up being less.
It could.
Consent number 4, resolution authorizing special item of revenue and appropriation in regard to the American Rescue Fund Act of 2021 for $4,181,508.76. What can this money be specifically used for?
That's been designated by the rescue plan from the federal government. There's a whole list of exclusions and exceptions, but essentially there are about 4 categories that we can use this in, which are pretty specific. And you probably can Google it easier than us to go through it, but it is very specific that we can use this money on. Cannot build roads with it, for example. We cannot.
So there are specific guidelines.
Oh, yeah, and we have to submit it to the federal government with what we're using, and if they deem that it's not used appropriately, we will be on the hook for the money.
Consent number 5, resolution establishing the annual salary and wages of Deborah Blaney, tax assessor. So it's saying here that she's going to have a base salary of $132,858, and the $16,666 commercial stipend is eliminated. What was the original purpose of this stipend? Why was she being given a commercial stipend to begin with? That now it can be eliminated.
Go ahead.
So as personnel, Sarah and I met with, we reviewed this situation. So the issue is that the commercial properties, most municipalities either have a dedicated person within their tax assessor's office to deal with the commercial properties, or they hire an outside firm. In some cases, some of the municipalities have where they provide an additional stipend to the tax assessor to do that work. When we looked at comparatively some of the work that was done in other jurisdictions, if we had to go outside to hire someone, it would probably cost us somewhere around $80,000 to $100,000 to hire a firm to do it. So in terms of the work that Ms. Blaine does, rather than continue to, we decided for the work that was being done, that the stipend was really not sufficient comparatively to the type of work that's being done and what other municipalities pay for that type of work. So, but rather than keep it as a stipend, we determined it was, we'd rather put it in salary for a couple of reasons, but mostly because by adding to the salary, it becomes part of the permanent job responsibilities of that role, as opposed to a stipend, which essentially could be kind of stopped at any time, and then we'd be left having to find someone to do that commercial work. So we preferred to have it as specific responsibilities within the tax assessor's office. Blaney wanted to continue the work and agreed to the arrangement. So we think it's a win-win for us, for Ms. Blaney, and most importantly for the township, because they can continue the work that's being done at a cost much less than we would have gotten had we had to go outside.
So prior to eliminating this, the stipend, what was Deborah Blaney's base salary?
I don't remember the exact amount, but I'm going to say it was.
I think it was
about
20s.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was 120. I'm going to say it was around 110. Pam can find it.
Yeah, give me
Just give us a second.
Sorry.
I would just, as I was saying, the other advantage is obviously having it all done in-house. If there's any questions by a property holder, we can deal directly with Ms. Blaney, as opposed to going to an outside service, and then they have the opportunity to appeal. As you would know, then we're at it's a much easier transition if everything is done here, and a better service to the customer.
The position of tax assessor, does that have to be renewed for a certain term?
It is a tenured role, yes.
Her salary at the beginning of the year was 109, 192.
I thought about 110, yeah.
It was 109.
109, 192.
It's a little over 100.
before, and then with the stipend. And so
Plus the
now
stipend.
the stipend's eliminated and it's 132.
So it was roughly 125 with the stipend. We gave her a bump and included, and took away the stipend.
What was said about she's tenured, meaning you don't have to renew every 3 years or every 4 years her position. She's just automatically tax assessor.
No, I think there's still a 10-year approval process. No, it's.
Once you're tenured.
Okay, it continues. Yep.
So she's in, and that's it. You don't have to renew.
There are a couple of positions within local government that are part of a 10-year process. And tax assessor is one of them.
Tax assessor, okay. Consent number 6.
We've already done number 6
And voted.
and voted. We already did number 6 and voted.
That's Miss Harriet.
Harriet.
You liked her.
I did, I liked her. I still do.
Read it for the record.
Okay, sorry, let me just, so it's 6. Okay, consent number 8. Resolution authorizing the tax collector to hold an electronic tax sale of unpaid 2021 taxes and other municipal charges through New Jersey Tax Lien Investors Real Auction. Is there a list of the current properties that are included on, for tax sale?
We have to publish it, so it's.
But they were due, the grace period ends today in an hour and 40 minutes. So after that, then the latest list will come out.
Right, so
There'll be a
it'll be
list?
published, yes.
It'll be posted on the doors of the municipal building as well.
Are there records of prior tax lists also, like from last year and prior years?
Tax liens, you mean? Tax
These
lien
tax-
sales?
these,
Tax
yeah.
sales? I'm sure that you could find them. I mean,
They're at the municipality?
I don't know, do we hold those past records? Because, yeah, I guess at some point,
Yeah.
so they have to.
There'll be
pay,
records
so-
regarding prior tax sales.
Yeah.
Those are those prior tax lien lists?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Consent number 10, abatement of violations of vacant and abandoned properties. So how much time do property owners have to pay the lien that's placed on their property? And if they don't pay it, what happens?
You could pay at any time for a lien. But the problem is that when you go to sell your property, we take precedent.
Okay, so there's-
We're one of the first to get.
Okay, all right, so that just is staying with the property until
It's
they
per,
want
yeah,
to sell it or
perpetuity.
whatever. Okay, consent number 11, resolution authorizing adjustment in the not to exceed amount for professional services contracts for the year 2021.
Mhm.
And this is for professional services award to be Francesco Bateman, Clinton Davis, Lara Plum,
Yep.
Township Attorney. So has there been any previous adjustment, or is this the first one?
This is the first one, I believe.
All right, so the amount has already reached 50,000, and now you're going for the next 50,000.
That's correct. And that's just generated by whatever business is brought before the township.
The what?
That's generated by whatever business is brought before the township.
Okay. Consent 14. Resolution authorizing the hiring of police officers in the Hillsborough Township Police Department. So this hiring is for vacancies that already were, or is this new hires? New hires above what was already here?
Both,
Excuse me?
both.
Both, also there's gonna be additional, so how many police officers were there previously and how many are gonna be new positions?
What is it, 5 and 1?
So we had
5 and
15,
1?
we had 52.
5 replacements, 1 new?
We authorized 2 additional hires, but we didn't really get them all yet, so we're probably at like 55.
So
How many total?
replacing those who left, the attrition of those who left with new bodies plus one new
One
hire.
additional.
So how many currently are there? And then you're gonna be, how many new additions, 2?
With the new hiring, I think the chief said we'd be at a total of 55, right?
New
Is that what you
hires,
said,
new
chief?
hires?
Total of police on staff with the new hires. So we lost 4 to retirement. So we have to replace the 4, and we got 2 more on top of that. So we get essentially maybe 6 officers total, but 4 are replacing those who left.
And so the total would, of all the police officers, once you hire for the replacement and the new ones, will be how many?
I believe
It should
Chief
be
said
55 or 56, depending on who's
When they
retiring
sign.
and when.
Right.
Because there could be more retirements coming.
There are going to be more retirements coming.
Yes.
It's very fluid.
Consent 16. The second paragraph, whereas each of the project line items have been verified against the treasurer's office account records to ensure that sufficient funds are available for these transfers of anticipated revenues. What does that mean? Transfers of, and I know this is unanticipated for the treasurer's account, but what is this, ensure funds are available for these transfers of unanticipated revenues? What does that mean?
I'm sorry, are you in the escrow one?
Yeah, this is the one we adopt pretty much every month.
Yeah.
It is escrow accounts. Developers set up escrow accounts for various review fees and planning fees and so forth. And then they get billed to the escrow accounts. The CFO is just saying, hey, the money is in there to pay these amounts from those accounts.
I don't understand the wording. To ensure that sufficient funds are available for these transfers of unanticipated revenues.
But you have to read the first part of the sentence, Ms. Gadsden.
Each of the project lines.
Have been verified against the treasurer's account to ensure that, so the CFO is confirming that they verified against those accounts that these funds are available for these transfers.
Of anticipated revenues.
It's unanticipated. We didn't know how much things were going to cost.
Or
So
what
it's
they are billed.
unanticipated.
So this gets added to the unanticipated revenue line, but this is simply for the CFO to indicate that we verified that the funds are available for these transfers.
In their escrow account.
Okay, still, okay. Consent 17. What are the premises located at 315 Route 206 for this liquor license transfer?
What is the what?
It was an in-pocket license that is being transferred to a location in Hillsborough Promenade, 315 Route 206.
Where Lowe's is and Cost Cutters, not Cost Cutters,
Kohl's.
Kohl's. Thank you.
That license is being transferred.
It was sold to somebody else to open a liquor store over at 315 Route 206.
Where Lowe's is, okay. All right, is there a name of this?
Nothing yet.
Not as of yet.
It's closer to you, so you don't have to come all the way far into town.
Good to know. Consent 19.
We did 19 already,
We did
and
19,
20.
right, that's right, we did. It's 25. It was the environmental site assessment. So
We
that is-
mentioned that. That was for basically them to go on and assess the land that we were just at Mendel property.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be quick, we're all tired. The number 14, and I see Chief McMahon is here, so maybe he can answer, but do we have any women on the police force?
Yes.
Yes.
How many do we have?
I think, I know at least one. We had another one, but she left.
Yeah. Are any of these new hires, I'm just judging from their names that they're not women, but are any of these people of color?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, how many?
Was it 3?
At least 2, I think 3.
There's,
I think it's 3.
answer that question. Actually, it's very, very diverse group. 1 black male, 2 Asian, and 1 Indian.
Thank you.
It's the White House.
Okay, thank you. And number 25, this is a site assessment again. And I know that we discussed it before, but I just want to make sure. I don't know if it's referenced in the ordinances. This is going to be done before the purchase is made, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And it'll be more than just the scoping? It'll be the next step too?
Well, there are certain parameters that they're looking at in an environmental site assessment. It's like phase one. They're looking for, they're gonna do some boring, some just walk around property, see if there's a pile of
They'll do
dumpsters sitting
the
around.
phase one analysis, and if phase one analysis reveals anything,
Then we go
then we get into a phase two, and
Right.
we contact the seller and say, we'd like to do a phase two.
Which is standard in real estate transactions.
Yeah, I just assumed that for property this large, it was going to go on to something that was considerably more expensive or more substantial. But
Well,
we're
if
not
there's
sure.
no,
As
if there's
warranted.
no indication of a need to proceed to a more expensive solution, then it won't. But that's what the purpose of the initial assessment would give us.
Okay. My only other question is number 4. I thought we did this already at the last township meeting. This is authorizing special items of revenue when we added the environmental study or the engineering study for Campus Drive. I remember this language, so I'm just wondering, is it in here again because the numbers changed?
No, I don't think we did directing it to the local government services.
Number 4?
You're talking about the special item of revenue, correct?
Yes, that's what number 4 is.
We adopt a similar resolution anytime we get any kind of grant funds, if that helps. Anytime we get grant funds, that resolution will come up.
Yeah.
Because we had to adopt something to do that.
Yeah, because we got actually
Study.
four grants in that were, I got the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Clean Communities Grant for $92,220.
Yeah, that
You got the AR fund of $4,181,000. You got the drunk driving enforcement grant for $7,097, and the body armor grant for $3,814. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay. Anyone else? Okay, then I will take this time a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Thank
No, we
you.
raised it. I just need a roll call.
Roll call.
Mayorwoman Erickson.
Yes.
Mayorwoman Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor Wright.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delcourt. Frank.
Frank.
Yeah, I'm just checking one thing out. Bear with me a second.
Okay. I would have, but my battery died on my other laptop, so sorry.
So we did have a resolution at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Meryl's correct. I don't know what,
It's for different items.
I'm just trying to determine what the differential is. I'll give you credit where it's due.
I wasn't here.
I just don't know if there's from the standard, if there's a differential or not.
I'll check with Nancy, the CFO tomorrow
Yeah.
morning.
It's just an issue of doing it twice,
Now the-
adding the money twice, so I just want to make sure it's correct.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna give us $8 million.
Golly.
No, it was, there is one further item on this.
It might be amending the first, it might be.
Yeah, I think it was amending it because there's an additional item that wasn't on the last one.
Corrective. Okay.
So the answer is yes. I approve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Thank you.
yes.
Mayor Lapani.
Yes. All right, last we have claims list 2021-13.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call. Committeewoman Erickson.
Yes.
Committeewoman Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor Wright.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Delcourt.
Yes.
Mayor Lapani.
Yes. All right, so at that point, so we have a motion to adjourn. Do I have one of those? Unless you really want to stay?
Second.
See, Jeff got it first, and we got a second from Doug. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you. It's 10:35. Our meeting next will be September 14th at 7:30. Hillsborough, New Jersey, celebrating 250 years of a rich history.
Hi, I'm Mayor Sean Lapani, and I'm proud to showcase Hillsborough, one of the best places to live in America.
From the preserved farms that help feed the world, to the Vanderveer House, to the John R. Stott's house, restored and currently utilized for business, to the magnificent and world-famous Duke Farms,
where you can walk or ride a bike through their historic grounds, to the iconic Neshannock Reformed Church, and just down the road is our fabulous Neshannock Mill located right on the picturesque Raritan River.
You're invited to visit Hillsborough, a great place to live, work, play, and do business anytime. And experience over 250 years of proud history in Hillsborough, New Jersey.